Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
C3 Nation, what is up? I am your host, Cody Lashing, here with another edition of the C3 Panthers Podcast. And I know you're saying, hey, wait, you don't look like the professor. And you know what? You're right. I'm not the professor. Tony Dunn has the gall to be a good family man, and be on vacation with his family instead of talking about Panther football. But we figured that we'll give him the night off. And we're happy to have you all joining us for the show tonight. And listen, man, before I introduce these incredible gentlemen I have on the pod with me, you know that we always do this show with the best damn Panther fans and all of YouTube. You know him and love him. It's Joey the Blind Panther, Brandon Malone. What's up, Brandon? D's Ill Skills, Pad1 Panther, Daniel Castro, Matt Knows Nothing, Muscles Marinara Paisan. What's up, brother? Rockhead 81, Supreme Lita. What's up, Mike? The real AP, Tim Estes, Vol Guy 23. This is the part where I normally say Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll. There's no Tony Dunn, but I am rolling with the voice that makes the moist. My man, Codizzle Allen. CK, what's up, brother?
Oh, man, if you'd like the blood to be pumping to all parts of your body, there's one thing you need to think about. This is the last Tuesday night without there being a Panthers game to talk about. The last one. This is the last time we're going to have a show that doesn't have a week that doesn't have to discuss what happened the previous week during a game. We haven't had that in incredibly too long. And here we are just a few days away from a preseason game that means absolutely nothing, but should be incredibly entertaining because Hard Knocks is coming to town tomorrow. This is going to be a good day, man. It's going to be a good week. And I'm hoping Saturday answers some questions about some of the people that we have on this team. And I can't think of a better place to be than right here with you fellas.
Yeah, man. It means nothing and everything all at the same time, So much news coming out of training camp. But this will be the first time that we're testing our players against other NFL talent, letting them beat up on another team for once, let them get out their aggression. I'm loving it, man. Happy to have you with me, as always, CK. Next up, he's the best beard in all of Panthers podcasting. I don't care what anyone says. You know him. You love him. It's the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy. What's up, brother? Oh, sipping on that C3 scissor. Yeah.
Brother, we got football on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go, man. I've been through training camp. I've been through the Fan Fest. I am so ready for football season right now. And I just saw something right before the show when you were going through the show notes that pissed me the fuck off, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm ready to talk about it. I'm not going to bring it up until we see it, but I am so upset about this because based on what I've seen, I was told something. I saw something. Now I believe something. And you're telling me this? So we're going to get into it, man. It's going to be a fun night. And I'll go ahead and say it, man. Tony ain't here, but you look just as good as Tony doing this, man. Maybe even better. I'll just go ahead and say it right now. Maybe even better.
I'm a little bit, I'm a couple
as far
years.
As just looks goes.
Yeah. I'm a couple years Tony's junior, so maybe I have that glow about me. But I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, dude, it's that time of season. Publications everywhere are disrespecting the Carolina Panthers, man. It's nothing new, but, man, they just continue to slander us more and more. This next gentleman, he is perhaps the most faithful of all the Friday Free for All faithful. You know him. You love him. Don't piss him off, or he'll tell you to shut the hell up. It's Panther Pickle joining the Tuesday show. What's up, Pickle?
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Excited. Depth chart come out today. I'm excited to get into all of this. And Tuesday or Saturday means a lot for some folks. Some of us hyped up last year. Saturday, they may be fighting for their football future.
The bubble.
Yeah, there's a lot of news.
Real.
The roster bubble is indeed very, very real. But hey, listen, man, C3 is for the fans, by the fans. If you would like to call into the show and have your opinion be heard, call in at 252-228-5098 and leave a message in our Cat Calls voice message line and be a part of the show. Be a friend, tell a friend, and be a part of this C3 family that we are so humble and proud to be a part of. But you know what? Before we do any of that, we are humbly proud to have a sponsor for the C3 Panthers podcast, and that is Caldera Labs. CK, why don't you talk to the people about our sponsor, man?
Well, first and foremost, we want to thank Caldera for partnering with us. And one of the things that me and Tony have been doing has been using their products. We have nothing but positive things to say about them, but let me introduce to you what they're about. First impressions matter, right? There's no two ways around it. What's the first thing that someone notices about you? In most cases, it's your face, and more importantly, your skin. If you aren't already, it's time to put your best face forward. How do you do that? By adding a skincare routine. And you know what? It's not that hard. You just don't have the right tools until now. Clinically proven to reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and signs of aging, Caldera Labs is the leader in men's skincare and is here to save the day. Use our exclusive code C3 at calderalab.com to enjoy 20% off their best products. Now, I'm just hitting 30, right? All of us are, I'm not just hitting, I'm over 30, 33 years old now, and I'm already seeing the crow's feet. I'm already starting to see signs of the aging on the face, and you know, listen, I've been holding off for a while. I'm not big on skincare, and that's something that as I'm getting older, I know we're gonna have to change. And so when Caldera reached out to us, I had honestly never heard of them. They sent us some of their products, and me and Tony both agree based on our time in training camp, because we had it at that point in time, that it was actually, you know, one of those products that they sell a product that actually has value. And basically right now, they create a high performance men's skincare product, and the regimen leads off their product lineup, a twice a day routine to transform your skin. The skincare world is heavily female driven and has long been the wild west for men. If you want to call it that, I don't really know if there's many men driven skincare at all. Whether men can't find the right brand or simply lack knowledge and understanding of it, skincare is something that requires attention. Luckily, men's skincare has never been easier with Caldera Labs and the regimen, which is again their most popular product. Now with this, and let me see, because I believe inside, so there's a bundle that they have. Inside the bundle, you're going to find Skincare Dream Team, the Clean Slate, the Base Layer, and the Good. Clean Slate starts your day off, it starts and ends your days rather. This face wash leaves all skin types refreshed. The Base Layer is your daily moisturizer that hydrates your skin and absorbs it fast, leaving you with matte finish so that you can start your day confidently. The matte finish is actually interesting. It's one of those, it makes your skin feel, I don't know, newer. I don't know how else to explain it. And then the Good
fresh,
is
rejuvenated.
Right, exactly.
Exuberant.
100%. And then the Good is the other product, and that's your go-to at night before bed, and a clinically proven multifunctional serum that helps your skin look tighter and smoother, as well as helps reduce the visibility of wrinkles and fine lines, which again, starting to experience those things. I don't like to admit it, but I'm getting older, guys, and there's plenty of gray in my beard. So if there's any, sponsors that have a need to have gray beards removed from their life, feel free to reach out. I'm sure I can be a great advocate for that. But So basically, in every drop of this serum, there's 3.4 million antioxidants. That's a lot. That's a 3.4 million. I didn't even read this before that. 3.4 million antioxidant units protecting your skins. I listen. It sounds like a lot. I'm hoping that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Want to know what that means? Well, I have no clue. But must be good though, right? But basically, again, what we want you to do, if you guys are interested in trying it out, I'm sure that if you try it out, you're going to love the product. You're going to want to try to continue to move forward with them. You get 20% off with our code C3 at Caldera.com. Again, that's 20% off at CalderaLab.com. My apologies, at Caldera first. By using code C3. Jump into skin and first impression royalty with Caldera Labs.
That's it, man. Thank you to Caldera for sponsoring the show. If you would like to support C3, support our sponsors, man. That definitely helps us a ton, especially as we're going to be churning out new content all the time. Man, listen, y'all are tired of hearing us talk. It is time to talk about real Panther football, baby. Let's jump into it. And we have to talk about the news that just broke. And you know what? Before I do that, let me give a real quick thank you to Just Don't Care, who gifted 5 subscriptions, memberships in the chat. Just Don't Care. You are perpetually the man, brother. You never aren't. You know we love you over here at C3, man. We appreciate you. Boys, let's jump into it, man. Justin Houston. Now, listen, we have been requesting an edge defender for a long time. We thought we were going to pick up one in the second round of the draft. Didn't do it. We traded up for one in the form of DJ Johnson, and he's been kind of up and down, had a good day today. But we knew that we needed to do something on the opposite end of Brian Burns at outside linebacker. And, hey, man, credit to Scott Fitterer. He has been making moves and brought in Justin Houston on a 1-year, $7 million deal, $6 million guaranteed money going into next season. Had 9.5 sacks for the Baltimore Ravens last year. Once upon a time, had 22 sacks for the Kansas City Chiefs. This man is an ageless wonder. He is a freak of nature. 270 pounds. Like, the dude is a physical monster. Is able to set the edge well. Boys, to be very honest with you, I had forgotten that man was still playing ball. Like, I really, whenever you mention the names of potential signings, Yannick Ngakoue or Jadeveon Clowney or one of those types of guys, you never heard Justin Houston mentioned. He's 34 years old. I'm loving this. I mentioned that just on the Friday Free For All, but I want to know to you boys, what are you making of Justin Houston?
Well, I'll tell you it's something that we all have been calling for it for the entire offseason. We've been hoping that they've add somebody with veteran pedigree to this roster. I know many people were hoping that the Clowney signing would happen, the Yannick Ngakoue, and plenty of other people out there that they had available. And quite honestly, this might be the best option for what we have here, right? It's a guy who's not going to be here to be an every down, defensive end or outside linebacker, however they decide to list him. He's not a guy who's coming in here to take away a job from YGM or Marquise Haynes. But even if you look at his limited impact, his limited time, his 1-year deal with the Ravens last year, right? 9.5 sacks. He only played half of the snaps. The dude is going to be a similar player to what Peppers was at the back end of his career. Remember when Peppers came to us for his second stint, he came in and he wasn't a every down back either. He was only in there once, like on third downs and like maybe half the snaps, whatever it was. And the dude still was racking up sacks, right? This might be the best thing for what we're going to be doing. And like many of the players talked about in the press conference, this is going to basically make it difficult for offensive game plan to double team one person over another. If you do, the other one's eaten, right? I think that what was once a weakness now has become a strength on this team. And when you look at where the camp started to where it is now, and you see how much pressure these guys are getting even in camp, dude, we might be causing some problems with this defensive line, and Houston that does nothing but make things positive for us.
Yeah, I have some real thoughts about this. I mentioned them yesterday. I said the free for all. I actually wasn't the free for all. Me, Pickle, and a few of the other boys did an impromptu reaction stream to Justin Houston. I'll in a minute I'll play some footage from Frank Wright during his press conference talking about Justin Houston, and some from Justin Houston himself. But I'll continue to get the opinion of my panel here. Greg, Justin Houston, man, this dude has been around for a long time, incredibly strong. He's a veteran, dude. What is this something that you're happy about? Would you have preferred it to be one of the other bigger names? How are you feeling about Justin Houston? You're muted, by the way. You're muted.
Oh,
Still, there you go.
Oh, nope, your mic's muted.
Oh, now your mic's muted.
Nope,
you've
don't
disappeared. Have you. I don't know what happened.
You've disappeared from the existence here, Greg. Nope.
No, still don't have you.
This is unfortunate. This it seems as though things are going to be against you tonight.
Well, you know what? It's as soon as Tony Dunn jumped into the chat room.
There he is.
There we go. Sorry, my microphone got unplugged and it messed things up.
No, you're good, man. You're good, man.
I want to say that I'm insanely happy about signing Justin Houston, okay? I think that this guy's a Hall of Fame linebacker based on his stats, 102 sacks in his career. He's been playing since 2010, so you're looking at 12 years. Julius Pepper played for 17, I think, or 15 or 17, one of the two, and he had 159. So he's going to be, if he continues the way he is, he's going to be 30 sacks behind Julius Peppers, who's like number 2 all time in sacks. It's hands down, this guy's a Hall of Fame linebacker. He may not be at the top of his game right now, but we need depth, and I think it's fantastic. I collect cards, and collecting cards, you find certain gems every once in a while that you don't expect. This is a card. This is a Justin Houston rookie autograph that I pulled in 2010 from a deck that I bought. And watching his whole career,
nice.
I couldn't wait for to see how his career turned out, and I couldn't wait until he retires to see what this card's going to be worth. And now that he's a Carolina Panther, it's it, man. It's over. It ended perfectly. That's the only way for me it could have been better, was him being a Carolina Panther. I love this signing. I think that we have addressed our weakest position in linebacker over the last 2 weeks. Deion Jones is the guy, right?
Yeah. Deion Jones.
I think that we have really, really done a good job to address this position, and I think that Justin Houston is a perfect fit. He's played for elite defenses. Dude had 22 sacks in 2014.
Yeah.
How many NFL players can you say have had more than 20 sacks? What, 2, 3?
He achieved a very rare air in 2014 with 22 sacks. This dude is a consummate veteran. And just last year, 9.5 sacks playing for the Baltimore Ravens. Dude, that's exceptional, man.
Give me 10 sacks this year. I'm good.
Yeah. So, Pickle, we'll go to you. Is there any concern on your part that he is 34 years old at all? Or does he, the fact that he has 9.5 sacks last season at 33, are you more happy than you are concerned? I guess I should ask.
I'm more happy than I am concerned. I'm a little concerned, but not enough to make it downtrodden. I knew he was out there. I just assumed at his age he would go somewhere where he could go deep into the playoffs or go back to Baltimore. I never assumed he would come here. Shout out to Scott Fitterer. I know we'll listen to his Justin today. He literally told everybody they've been working on it for, I think he said, a month. And
yeah, he said he's been talking with Frank Wright for over a month now.
Exactly. So, and I'm like, while some of us have been crying about it, they've actually been working on it already. So,
yeah.
And one thing I like about Justin is yes, he has 9.5 sacks, and that's great. That just him and on one side and Brian on the other, it's scary for the other team. But I like his the veteran and how many years he's played in a 3-4, and he's played it at a Pro Bowl level. His leadership, his ability, his teaching benefits is going to help this young team so much. Yes, you got good coaches, and he even shouted out his position coaches, and this talk that his linebacker coach actually was a guy that he had when he started out that he looked up to as a player to a player. And he shouted that out. He pointed that out, and I did not know that. I just thought that after he talked about it, then you put all the pieces together that he said. Some of us should have maybe even thought this was going to happen. But
yeah, and I wonder what made them wait so long. I mean, the fact that they've been talking about this for a month. Did they just want to take some time to see what they have in YGM and Marquise Haynes has been sidelined with an injury. Also DJ Johnson and everything that I had heard.
Yeah.
Apparently DJ had a great day today, but up until today, DJ Johnson had been basically been underperforming compared to his draft level. Even a couple of undrafted free agents kind of one-upped him in practice. So do you think this was a situation of, okay, we can't play around. We have a very good defense right now. We have to have a veteran presence. What do you think made them wait that long to anyone?
Do you think that it was, I mean, you're automatically pinning on them waiting that long. Do you think maybe he was waiting that long? I mean, he had 9.5 sacks last year as a free agent. He may have had other offers. He was mulling things over.
That's a great point. He also said that it wouldn't have hurt his feelings if he had signed a week from now.
Right.
Right.
So he may have had other things on the table that he was waiting for. So you're right. I don't understand what their waiting would be, other than the fact that maybe they had a lot of faith in the linebacking core they had, but now that they've seen changing this 3-4, having a veteran presence in there is a good idea. Maybe they just decided, okay, let's go ahead and pull the trigger. He's here, he's ready, and let's do it. But I don't know if it was him or them, to be honest with you. It could have been.
Real quick, Pickle. Thanks you to Heineck Slim. Justin Houston equals great vet equals fits the scheme. And man, that was a great point. He mentioned Frank Wright before, and now he had worked with Frank Wright, and that was his biggest factor in coming here to Carolina. I mean, he was with Frank Wright before. It might be a little hard to hear, but I want to play Frank Reich talking about Justin Houston, and then I'll play a clip of Justin himself. Kind of hard to hear, but I think you should be able to manage. I have everything turned up.
I just think I think Justin is going to complement what we're going to have, plus those young guys. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. I think Justin is going to come in and make a big impact, and he's going to really complement Brian in a great way. Justin has great speed to power. He's got a great counter moves. He can beat you multiple ways. But in this league, speed to power wins. In this league, speed to power wins. You want to look at sack production, you got to have a speed to power move. And that's been Justin's forte his whole career. So he can do more than that, but that really complements Burns, because Burns has that elite off the edge, right? And there's only a handful of guys that have it. Brian has that. Okay, Justin complements that on the other side with elite speed to power.
And boys, I'm going to be real with you, man. The fact, one, his ability, of course, that's one. But with Brian Burns, for the first time in his career, moving to 3-4 outside linebacker, now you add this chiseled old veteran who has quite literally performed at the highest levels of the outside linebacker position. This is the perfect mentor for Brian Burns right now. I almost love that more than I do him, the player, if that makes any shred of sense at all. I know it doesn't, but this could be an incredible thing all around. Go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say, this is the Jared Allen, this is the Roman Harper, this is the Peanut Tillman signing that we need right here. This is a veteran who has done it, that still has gas in the tank, that can teach our players, our young. Look, I looked at our roster the other day. We have 5 players on our entire team that are over 30. 5.
Yeah.
5 players. We are young. You bring a guy, now we have 6. You bring a guy like this in, man, it's we brought Jared Allen, Roman Harper, Peanut Tillman in, and every time we did that, we had great results.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And by the way, the Panthers already released their depth chart. We're going to get to that here in a minute. But he is already listed as the number 1 outside linebacker without having spent a day in practice. I mean, it's just inevitable. Here's a little bit of Justin Houston and why he decided to become a Panther.
Play.
Coach Frank.
Coach Frank.
When Coach Frank called, I knew right then, as soon as he called and hung up the phone, I told my wife he's going to Carolina. It was an easy decision.
Nice. And why? What about him?
I can trust him. He's a stand-up guy. What you see is what you get. He's going to be straight up for it, which is a guy that you know you can count on. I think that, like I said, the biggest thing is trust. I want somebody I can trust.
How early?
So already you're starting to hear the remarks of this coaching staff that we put a lot of time and effort into hiring is paying dividends. This man has played for Frank Wright before, and you wanted to play for him again because you trust him. He understands the defense that they implement on a Frank Wright football team. And the fact that you have a young upstart in Ojiro Rivero, it just seemed like this was the place that he wanted to be, man. They talk about that speed to power. Dude, he has incredibly long arms, incredibly powerful. I mean, this is just what the doctor ordered at 3-4 outside linebacker. And then you add in Deion Jones, who was just signed. Now you're looking at a linebacking core of Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, Deion Jones, and Justin Houston. Like, bro, what an upgrade
What
in
happened?
a short amount of time, huh, boy?
You see it right here, right?
Kind of wild. Champions, baby. Champions. I'm loving it, man. I am loving it. And again, I don't know if I'm speaking for anyone else here, but to me, this name came out of nowhere. Like I said, this is not a name that we heard in rotation. We didn't hear him mentioned amongst Jadeveon Clowney or Jonathan Ngakwe or Leonard Floyd. His name didn't come up. And then now, all of a sudden, like a flash of light, there he is, right when the Panthers need him. Man, this is perfect to me, man.
And they said they've been talking about it for a month, right? That lets you know right there that we may hear shit and we may but we don't know what's going on there. We don't
right.
Nobody knew about this.
Right.
We don't really know. We have ideas and things that come out in the news, but we really have no idea what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Right.
truly no idea what happens behind the scenes, man. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
My man Anthony cried for months and months on Friday Free For All and everywhere
He
else
sure did.
to get a defensive end. Now this
Him and
is
a lot of other
proof.
folks too.
Yep, this is proof. Scott Pitter says, "Shut up, sit back, and let me take care of it."
Yeah, and take care of it. He did, man. By the way, shout out to my man C Dog 1983 TV. He says, "Hit the like button. It's free." C3 Podcast, my guys, we appreciate you, bro. Yeah, man. I mean, I'll try and find this clip. It's very, very short. He was not in pads today. Obviously, he just signed.
Yeah,
but
and why you find that? He said in his presser, they asked him about the distance or the delay, and he said that they had to get details on the contract figured out. So I think I think we offered him more than the other team, which was the Ravens, was given, because they only paid him $3 million for 1 year last year.
Yeah, only and again 9.5 sacks at 33 years old. Listen, Ravens fans were not excited to lose Justin Houston. It's kind of reminiscent of Bradley Bozeman. Ravens fans were not happy to lose Bradley Bozeman. So it seems as though whenever the Panthers pluck a player from the Baltimore Ravens, we seem to come out on top, man. And look here, the Panthers posted this. Justin Houston, his first day there at Panthers training camp, and he's already showing Brian Burns some tips and tricks and techniques before the start of the season. I'm telling you, man, I love this for our linebacking core, that veteran leadership and that person that's been there before. I hope they take advantage of the wisdom and knowledge that this guy is willing to give to them and impart on to them.
Hey, real quick, I want to highlight something here.
Yeah.
C-Dog says, I preferred Floyd over Houston. Maybe, but I prefer one of them over neither.
Right.
You know, like if
That's
we didn't get either one of them, I'd have been even more pissed.
No, listen, look at Floyd's contract and look at what Houston got. And those are going to be incredibly. Listen, there's no denying Floyd being younger has a bigger upside for the longevity of like a long-term contract. But for something that you're doing this one time and this like is 1 year deal that maybe he comes back, who knows? But I think you get a lot of value out of this guy, and he's still clearly performing at a high level. So I think this was the only option, especially like. I don't blame you for wanting Floyd, but I just don't think we were in the market even close to being able to come bring a guy like that in with that contract.
Yeah, the Sheena Quick had said a month ago that on a Twitter space, she said that the Panthers' first option was Floyd, but it didn't take long into the negotiations to realize they weren't in the market for him anymore. So he just basically priced him completely out of the market. So sometimes a player and his agent put that price too high, then a team can go get. So.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I got to highlight another thing. I'm not going to bring it up because you ain't got done that far yet, but it'll come up. CJ33, you said this defense is about to carry this team again. I'm okay if it happens, but look, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, as a reformed Bryce Young doubtist, if Bryce Young can do in the season what I've seen him do in training camp and the Fan Fest, then nah, man, this defense ain't about to carry this offense. It's about to be an even load. If he can do this, dude. Look, man, it's going to be complimentary football. If he can do, like I said, I'll be the first to admit it. If he can do in the season what I've seen him do in training camp and the Fan Fest, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I feel like the offense has gotten the most of the talking points, obviously, right? We trade up to number 1, draft a quarterback, we draft a wide receiver in round 2, a bunch of different free agent signings on the offensive position that sometimes I feel like, even as podcasters, we've overshadowed the defense. And I feel like maybe now we're, especially if you listen to what the reports are coming from training camp, that the past few days in a row, now recently it's picked up for the offense a little bit, but the defense has been fast, has been aggressive, and has just been flying around the football field. Now, when you're on a practice field, it's very much city football, attack football, whereas the offense is very much, a lot more timing and rhythm. But it really does make me wonder, like, are we sleeping on how good this defense can be starting out the season for us?
Who do we play week 1?
Yeah, baby, them dirty
Falcons,
turds,
right.
man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why this season is so ominous. That's right. Frank Reich, Falcons first game. Yeah. And we're going to smash the Falcons. We're going to smash the Falcons, dude. The Falcons, we play Falcons week 1, Saints week 2, right? I don't think our defense has any issues to worry about. To be
Falcons week 1, Saints week 2. Which is the week 2 is the Monday night home opener. So
I don't think our defense has anything to worry about, to be honest with you. Not the first 2 weeks at least.
I want 50-0 on the Falcons just for the heck of getting it.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, speaking of to nothing, this is an interesting stat that Kev showed me earlier in the sleeper chat. Do you know that Carolina is tied for the longest streak of never being shut out? 2002 was the last time we were shut out.
Yeah.
And there's only one other team that's been 2002. This. Everybody else is like 2017 or above. And we're like we're tied for number 1 of not being shut out the longest. That's something tout about.
Yeah, I saw
Mhm.
that. That was a surprising
Yeah.
stat. White chocolate with the 4.99 says it's not just pass rush; it can also stop the run, and that's very important too. That
That's
our
true.
coaches have been emphasizing a lot. That we want to be able to stop the run.
Right.
And by the way, when you as soon as the signing was made, I went and I looked up his old top 100 videos. You know, he was voted top 100 by his peers many years in a row. And every video that I found of him, they have a section talking about how dominant he was defending against the run and that he lives in the backfield. Like this is perfect. And I love that he's a multifaceted defensive player like that. Go ahead, Pickle.
I was just gonna say I do agree. He's
Yep.
It's important to say he won't be an every down player, which means when he's not on the field, you're going to rely on somebody else, and that's good because if you go back, and I know a lot of people hate on YGM. YGM has had his best years with us when he was a situational player. That was pointed out earlier today. He's a Steve Smith called him a situational rusher. He's not an every down player.
Right.
He's a
They're going to sub him
situational
in and
rusher.
out.
Exactly. But it's not just him. You got a lot of young guys on this roster that you don't be surprised if you see Frankie out there on the edge someday, and Marquise Haynes was actually, before he got hurt, he was in a position to start. So we've got a lot of young guys in here, and when he's a situational guy, yeah, but just because he's not on the field don't mean we can't apply pressure. So
yeah, 100%. So Bat Daddy has to step out for just a minute. Of course, right as we get to the Bryce Young segment of the show.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll give my little I guess wording on him then. I'm not convinced that he is the guy yet. Like I said, I'm not crowning him, but what I've seen from him so far, I'm very impressed by, and I want to see it in a game still. And I think if I can see him get hit and stand up, because it's going to happen in a game, he's going to get hit. If I can see him get hit and stand up and keep doing what he's doing, throwing the ball the way I've seen him throw the ball, man, we've got something really, really good going on here. So I'm ready for that to happen. I'll be right back. My daughter's just getting off work. I got to go pick her up real quick. So 30, 45 minutes
problem,
maybe.
man.
I should
Jump
be back
on as soon as you're able to. We'll continue the conversation here. By the way, if you would like to have your voice heard tonight, call into the Cat Calls line at 252-228-5098. Gentlemen, let's jump back into the show here. The past 2 days, Bryce Young has looked exceptional.
Right.
In fact, Bryce Young is reportedly thought to have similarities to Aaron Rodgers in his game, according to Frank Reich, Panthers head coach. Reich also said he believes Young has the same skill set Rodgers has in terms of arm angles and speed of release. Young has reportedly taken command of the Panthers offense and has been an impressive leader. Everyone is reportedly silent in the huddle when Young is speaking. Some high praise for the Panthers rookie quarterback. Man, this is the type of stuff that you love to hear about your number one overall pick, at the quarterback position. We've also been alerted to the fact that he has been a part of the offensive installs on pass protection. I mean, my man is giving full PowerPoint presentations on different protections to the entire team. Like, the man is already playing and acting like he's a 10-year veteran in the NFL. Yep. It's absolutely insane, man. Shout out to Moses Marinara, says 100+ jabronis in here. 6 likes. Hit that like button. PJ, we love you, brother. Thank you, man. We also wanted to move on to this next little snippet to talk some more about Bryce. Let me turn this off so I can read everything. Given that Bryce Young is about to test his mettle against a 4-time NFL MVP and Aaron Rodgers during joint practices with the New York Jets, it was vital that the quarterback put together a decent session in the lead up to what will be a must-watch event, as has been the case throughout his time with the Carolina Panthers. the number 1 overall selection in the 2023 NFL Draft, came up with the goods. Bryce was clinical, went through his reads effectively, protected the football. There were times when the pressure arrived and it couldn't get the ball where it needed to go, but the signal caller can walk away from this particular session with his head held high. The former Alabama star connected with Terrace Marshall Jr. throughout practice. There's a name we've been waiting to hear, boys. Young's chemistry with tight end Hayden Hurst over short to intermediate routes is coming on a great deal, and is going to and it's clear going up against a talented defense is bringing up his game quicker than anticipated. Tommy Tremble and Jonathan Mingo are others generating nice cohesion with Young. Boys, I mean, this is what you want to hear, right? About your number 1 overall pick doing all this in the right type the right type of style, the right type of way. Performing like a veteran.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Tommy Tremble himself had an excellent catch today. I love to see it sometimes. And I've watched a lot of training camp. I've watched a lot of them, and sometimes you forget that some players just need a few weeks to adapt. And sometimes Tommy Tremble, we don't talk about him, but he's
Sure.
a guy who was drafted a few years ago, and maybe he needs a little time to get the rule out of his blood, so to speak. So the infection that this team had for the last few years, I
Yeah.
have a lot of hope. I still think he's going to make the roster anyway. And if he can keep up with the catch he had today,
Yep.
that was the best catch I've ever seen him have in game or in practice. So.
Yeah. And we're also going to talk about Terrace Marshall Jr. today, coming up here very soon. That was another name that was really, really, really big on Panthers Twitter today for reasons we'll talk about. This is Frank Reich talking about Bryce Young and drawing that Aaron Rodgers comparison.
I do think there's similarities. You don't like to compare in this business, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is in the league of, Bryce isn't ready to be mentioned in the same sentence as Aaron Rodgers. But the reality is he can do exactly what you said. Like the throw that you're talking about today, that's an elite throw, and how quick it gets out. That's the thing with Aaron. He not only can throw at all those arm angles, but the speed at which the ball gets out. There's a special skill set for that, and we believe Bryce has that same skill set.
So they really believe that they have something special in Bryce, and how he composes himself and how he's been leading the football team. I mean, it's what you want to hear, but it also shows the versatility. But no, that's not the right word. Not the versatility, but the way that he's able to shake things off. Like Bryce has thrown some interceptions. Bryce has not been perfect, but this is the time when you need to throw interceptions. Like this is when you're still getting on rhythm with your offense. You're still figuring things out. And, the fact that he has continued to respond and get better and doesn't seem flustered, like that is probably the most heartening thing about all of this, is that even when things don't go his way, dude, they said that he's taking care of the ball. Today, he did not throw any interceptions. He was able to throw away the ball when he had to, and he's been very efficient over the middle. But also on those deep balls, he has been aggressive with it, and he makes some throws that already has the coaches bringing up the likes of Aaron Rodgers. Like, dude, this is, I don't know. It harkens me back to those people that want to temper our expectations, and they don't want us to be too excited. They don't want us to, have our feelings be let down if the Panthers don't start fast. But damn it, man, it's hard to not be pumped when this is the type of news that we're talking about with Bryce seemingly every day now.
Dude, yeah, no, the thing with what I'm finding encouraging is the fact that Bryce is having, rookie issues, right? There's certainly things that come about that, but it doesn't feel like things are super one-sided. Our defense is winning a lot. Our offense is winning a lot. Because if you see one dominate over the other, I think there's a lot of concern with one over the other, right? We've seen a lot of positives. We've seen a lot of things moving in the right direction with what this offense looks like, what this defense looks like. Bryce Young has been, I said it from day one of training camp. The way he gets the ball to the receivers just feels just fluid. There's no other way to say it. It was just everything feels fluid. You talk like, with that interview, he's talking about he feels like he's got a lot of the same abilities that Aaron Rodgers, possesses, meaning, the ability to throw the ball quickly, the ability to see the field correctly, right? It's just really going to be a matter of whether he actually puts everything together. That's always going to be the biggest underlying part of this whole thing, is whether he can put everything together. And by all accounts, I mean, I watched Thielen go on to Pat McAfee yesterday. He speaks highly of him. And these guys aren't going to talk crap about their quarterback, but I mean, just the things they're saying about him are above and beyond what we've heard of any quarterback. I mean, we certainly didn't hear these, the amount of praise for the likes of Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield.
No.
They were praised, but they were not like
nowhere near to
like
this
this
level.
is the guy. And that's something that I find encouraging. I think that one of the things when you see the back and forth between offense and defense, Greg touched on it. This is going to be a complementary football team, which is what you need to have. I've said it from the day one of training camp, day two of training camp. I think our offense, where it can be explosive, I think we're going to be winning games because of our ability to possess the ball for the majority of the game. That is where we're going to win the game. We're going to give our defense an ability to breathe. We're going to give our offense the ability to continue to just dink and dunk, hit the deep ball to try to keep them honest. But all in all, like, we have so many safety valves for Bryce Young. It's certainly worthy of optimism. And one of the things I think, even when people talk about the struggles of the offense, one of the things, and they talk about it, and you can look at this as an excuse if you want, but I think it's a valid one. These guys are running their plays. They're running regardless of what the coverage is, that they wouldn't call that coverage, that play during that coverage. They would audible out. They're not trying to figure out the nuances of audibling, the audible and trying to get out of a play. They call a play, they go to the line, and they play that play, right? So even when the defense gets one on the offense, that doesn't necessarily mean this is because the defense is, just beat the offense outright and the offense is garbage. It's that they're not adjusting for, what they're seeing in front of them, because they've got to get their install. They've got to get the offense. They've got to learn the plays. They've got to learn the routes, all of these things. Success is not measured by how many completed passes they make in training camp. Success is measured by whether these guys are able to actually continue to stay healthy and how the preseason checks out when they do have the opportunity to audible out of stuff. The practice against their defense is just really irrelevant.
Yeah, and like I said earlier too, it's so much different for both, because there's so much timing and rhythm and things that have to be factored into the offense. Where when you're on defense, it's see ball, attack ball. Like that's what it is. You're benefiting the defense when you're just able to fly around and make football plays. So I mean, I'm pumped, man. We're going to be talking about Bryce for a long time to come. And again, I wanted to ask all this, and I wanted to ask the chat too. I didn't put this in the presentation, shame on me, but it is revealed Bryce Young will be playing in the preseason against the Jets. Now, there's a lot of different schools of thought about this. There are certain people that detest playing your starters during preseason football, but they are going to be playing Bryce CK, Greg, everyone in the chat. I mean, CK, Pickle, everyone in the chat. What are you feeling about this? Are you happy with the fact that they're playing Bryce, or would you rather a more conservative type of nature? And yeah, like Sideshow says, keep in mind you're probably going to be around 5 to 8 snaps, nothing major. But overall, how do you feel about them playing Bryce in preseason?
Pickle, I just talked for a minute, man. So you take this one, and I'll answer after you.
I think it's all right. I think if he had a lot of seasoned vets underneath him, then you can say, oh yeah, he shouldn't play. We know we started Cam Newton when he was a vet. I have been under the assumption for a long time that Cam Newton's first preseason game he started the first snap. I watched that game the other day on NFL Plus, and I was surprised he did not. Jimmy Clausen actually started the first preseason game, played about a quarter roughly, and then Cam went in. That's what I think, Bryce. I think Bryce should play roughly about a quarter. But depending on what you see on the field. Now, if the Jets seem to be coming off the line fast, and you're in a situation of getting Bryce sacked quite often or hurt, then I don't think they're going to play. Then I think you'll see him get pulled. But but at the same time, I'm all for playing him a little bit in the first preseason game. If you don't want to play him in the third or the second, that's understandable. But he's a rookie. Yes, he's a phenomenal rookie, but he's still a rookie, and he needs to play in a preseason.
Yeah, I'm fully in agreement with that. Here's the thing: if Bryce Young got hurt in preseason, like that doesn't bode well for what's going to happen to him when he gets into a real game. Right. Like if it's a freak accident, whatever, right? That could happen week 1, or it's going to happen now, right? I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, but a lot of this is if we don't play him and he gets hurt week 1, it's because he didn't play. If he does play and he gets hurt in preseason, we shouldn't have played him, right? There's no win on this. You've got to get this guy. You've got to get him reps. That's the only way that he is going to be able to be successful, is if you let him try to, understand the game, see it in live action, not just with the risk of a guy being in his face with his hands up, not really knowing if he would have made the play or not. He needs to know how he performs on this level. We need to know how he performs on that level. And if he's doing it against twos, get his confidence up. I'm fine with that.
Yep. And I think it's going to be good to get him out there. Now, I want to say this. I wouldn't put Bryce on the field if the first string offensive line isn't playing. If Bryce is on the field, the whole offense is on the field. Now, Hayden, he's an older. If you want to hold Hayden out, that's understandable. He's a well experienced vet. There's not a lot of. You got others. Charles Johnson on Twitter today said that he believes, from what he's heard, Mingo is the number 1 wide receiver, just biding his time. Put Mingo out there instead of Theoden if you choose to, but majority of the offense should play if Bryce is out there playing.
Yeah, I put a poll up in the chat as well. Are you okay with playing Bryce Young our first preseason game against the Jets? Right now, with 24 votes, 100% people say yes. So nobody is erring on the side of caution. Everybody is pretty pumped about seeing Bryce play, and I think they kind of echo CK's sentiment. It's like, you shouldn't be treated differently than other rooks. You have to get out there, and if you're hesitant to play him in the preseason, he has to play football. You're not going to protect him for any length of time. But maybe knowing about what happened to Matt Corral last year, maybe is something that might tempt you. But Pickle made a good point too. It depends on who the starting line is. Like right now, that's another thing that we really need to be looking at, because we don't necessarily know the formation. Like we know Icky, Christensen, Bozeman. As of right now, it's been Cade Mays playing right guard, but that kind of seems like a bit of a rotation at the moment. That's going to be very important going into this. On how they choose to protect Bryce and to see who they try out there first, man. That's very important to our season. But listen, let's jump into this, man, because the Panthers have officially released their first depth chart. And boy, there were some things that were kind of headline worthy, boys. So first one, the one that is the easiest to see, is Terrace Marshall Jr. is listed with the 2s, while Jonathan Mingo is listed with the number 1s. Now, Terrace Marshall had a wonderful day today. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But my question to everyone in the chat and to UCK and Panther Pickle is, what are your biggest or what are your takeaways looking at this first depth chart for the Carolina Panthers? They also have Jeremy Chin listed at nickel cornerback. Not really a surprise, but that kind of lets you know how they're viewing him at this point in time. Marquand McCall as a starter. There's a lot to go through here, boys. How y'all feeling about this?
Bro, I think we could see the Terrace Marshall being second to, on second string. I don't think anybody would have predicted that it was because of Mingo being first team, right? But that's kind of the feeling you got when you were watching training camp and you saw these guys, getting more reps with the 1s than TMJ. So I'm not surprised by it. I think that I would be surprised if the end of training camp this doesn't change, especially if things continue the way that they are going right now. And that is with Mingo. Whereas I'm not saying he's not looking horrible. He's had a case of the dropsies in this training camp, as we talked about. And Terrace Marshall, when he had a slow start, but the dude has only gotten better since back together Saturday, right? It's been mostly his training camp. Like, if you were going to point out an MVP, it's TMJ at this point in time, based on what everybody's saying. And again, I'm only being able to hear that from afar. I'm only basing that off of clips. I'm only basing that off of tweets that people are putting out there and what the team is saying about how he's been performing. So, but based on all of that, the dude's got a lot of hype around what he's going to be doing. So I think the biggest surprise would be once the final depth chart hits our computer screens. If he's not moved to first team, I'd be a bit more surprised.
Yeah, I would too. Go ahead, Pickle.
I think it's no coincidence that Marshall's had some drops early in camp, him and Tommy Trumbull both. And after FanFest, they both were hitting the jugs machine real hard. And Marshall had a great day today. That's great. I'm under the belief that the players are let know how this depth chart is before it's released, so maybe it gives him a little bit of a motivation. The rookies ahead of me, I'm going to show them I'm going to produce better. And I hope he does. I would love for us to have an issue where we have Mingo and Marshall and Chark and Theoden all are worthy to start. We just can't put all 4 on the field. I would love that. The thing that surprises me most on this depth chart is actually the offensive line, and McCall. I thought he would be good. I've heard rumors, but I didn't believe it till I actually seen it, that he's our starting nose tackle, and he actually fits that extremely well at his size. The offensive line is what surprises me, not the starters. We've heard that K Mays is going to be a right guard until Corbett gets healthy, which he's progressing very well. But the number 2s, and I know a lot of it's injury based, but Dante Brown at your backup right guard, Nash Jansen as your backup left guard, and your number 2, that's not really good for the number 2 quarterback, I don't think, is you have Michael Jordan at your backup left tackle. But if he comes on the field and can do it, I'll be the first to clap my hands. But I'm gonna
and maybe I'll run up maybe I'll run up a flight of steps too.
So,
You know, I'm probably more likely to do so than Michael Jordan ever being worth a damn on the offensive line.
I 100% agree.
And Pickle, you know, you brought this to my attention before the show.
Yeah.
Look at Deontay Brown sneaking back up there, man. Y'all remember that name last season when I would not shut up about my boy Deontay Brown? You know, they named him Blastoise, man. That's you know, I'm happy about that, man. I love his film from Alabama, and if this guy could do something for the team, bro, I'm loving that. And Pickle, yeah, you're right, man. You did watch him run sprints. That's never gonna be what you're wanting Deontay Brown to do, my man. It's not great
they need to put that
at running sprints. Yeah, I do wish we had a video. My man came in dead last every single time.
Yeah.
But hey, he is a bulldozer, and I am happy to see him moving up the ranks and maybe potentially even working his way into consideration at that right guard spot. Man, wouldn't my ego blow all to hell, man? That would be I'd be pumped.
And one thing I want to say though, and you know, we've always heard that Corbett or that Matt Corral is going to play a lot of preseason, right? We keep hearing this here and there, and they got Andy as a number 2, and that's all right. We all know that. But if Andy doesn't play in preseason and they put Matt Corral out at number 2 just for preseason, look who his offensive line is going to be: Michael Jordan, Cam Irving. Good luck, brother.
That doesn't look
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck to Andy. Good luck to anybody got them two. Bless their sweethearts. But something else I want to add in real quick.
Yeah.
Even about the defensive side of the ball. Some of the guys on this depth chart are back to like 4th string. Is some of the guys drafted just last year. So you know, and it's not that they're completely out of the ballpark, but they've kind of got to step up their game. It's just basically the ball's in their court. They want on the team. They've got to play harder than what they've been playing. You know, they've got to produce. You know, the learning's over. It's now to put proof in the pudding. It's
time to put up or shut up, as you have once said before, Pickle. And but you mentioned Marquand McCall. CK, that's someone that really had some great plays for us last year.
Yeah,
if you remember, he came on in a few situational moments, and people have been really excited about him and wanting to see him get more playing time. That's a name I'm really happy to see coming along nicely. How about this? CJ Henderson listed at number 2 behind Dante Jackson. Now, I wonder if that's just how they list this on the depth chart. I mean, they have Jeremy Chin at nickel corner right now. But
how much can you read into it, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you read a lot into it at all, if anything?
Well, I heard on NFL radio or at Sirius XM radio today, I listened to 2 different. I listened to WFNZ because they were at camp, and I listened to XM, so I get them confused. But they were talking, and they said that Carolina is going to have use a lot more 3 safety rotations than anybody in the league. Don't. They said the guys specifically said Panther fans be on the lookout for that. They strongly feel that Carolina is going to use more 3 safeties than anybody else in the league. So you know, but look at the backup nickel safe. The number 2 nickel. Stanley Oliver Thomas, I would have never guessed that at all.
Right.
I would have thought Eric Rowell. If you put Jamie out there, I'd have understood all that. I'd have understood if you put Keith Taylor out there. But I would have never thought Stanley Oliver Thomas at backup nickel.
No, apparently he's had a nice training camp.
Yep.
I'm trying to find a fuller the full list of the depth chart so that way we can see 3rd and 4th, because Panax is right. Guys like Amari Barno are dropping. People are, the cream is starting to rise to the top right now. And I think that goes back to Justin Houston. Like, that's why you signed a Justin Houston, because you do not feel comfortable with the young talent that you have right now. and their ability to be able to produce for you week 1 in Atlanta. So, yeah, that's really, really not surprising to me. I wanted to jump into this next portion, and I wanted to talk about Terrace Marshall Jr. Because, as we say, he's listed at number 2.
Yep.
But Terrace Marshall Jr. today may have had his most impressive day in training camp and may have had just the best day in general out of any Panther this entire training camp so far. Terrace Marshall, a 2021 second-round pick, has progressed quite a bit over the past 2 weeks. On Tuesday, he was electric and then caught a handful of meaningful passes in team drills. Marshall made back-to-back plays on passes from Young in 7-on-7 drills. The first completion came on a throw between defenders. The second, a Marshall highlight, featured the wideout catching the ball on a driving reception. Later on, Marshall made a nice catch off of a ball from backup quarterback Andy Dalton in 7-on-7 work. Then during 11-on-11 drills, Marshall drew a chant from the offense for a great catch off of a deep post route in 11-on-11 drills. Dalton made an excellent throw, but Marshall showed off the size and speed on the deep ball completion. Mike Kay would also go on to say Terrace Marshall Jr. is planting his flag as the guy of this practice. Made a handful of impressive plays in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11 drills. Speed and size are evident today. And by the way, to juxtapose this, right, Jonathan Mingo, listed at number 1. However, the past 2 days in a row, my man Jonathan Mingo has been dropping some footballs a little more frequent than you would want to hear. So is this a testament to you have to sometime hold on a bit before you start jumping to make the hot takes about, Terrace Marshall Jr. underperforming, number 4 on the roster, whereas you have a day like today where he's looking to be one of the most athletic jump ball receivers on the roster right now. How are you feeling about our receivers and Terrace Marshall Jr. in general? Is Terrace Marshall Jr. on the up and up, or is he falling due to what we saw earlier in practices?
I think he's improving. I mean, he had some great catches where he jumped up last year. I think he's producing good. He's a little slow to get started, but once he gets started, he's pretty steady. Providing the injury bug don't bite him somewhere.
Right.
I mean, we've been real lucky so far. Knock on wood, cross my fingers. But but I think he's on the up and up. I think we've got a good rotation at wide receiver right now. I really like the board that we have.
Yeah,
I agree.
Go ahead, CK.
I mean, I think, listen, from what we have on this wide receiver group, the Damiere Byrd injury, I think is going to, based on what we've seen, I think it'll save Shi Smith's position on this roster, unless Wright can come and take that position away from him. But I'm happy, man. Like when you look at what we have at those skill positions, man, I just can't help but smile and be optimistic about what these weapons are able to do. I mean, just again, the Mingo situation right now is a bit underwhelming, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt given what we've seen. I mean, Thielen is running ridiculously, and he's clearly looking like he's still got a lot of juice left in the tank. You have DJ Chark every single time that they practice. There's some highlight of this guy connecting with Bryce Young. DJ Chark is, just based on what we've seen, is by far is hands down a number 1 wide receiver in this league.
Easy.
And the fact we got him the way we did is just a steal. He's going to be a lot more expensive to maintain next year if he comes out and balls it out. But the dude has just clearly got the it factor, and so I'm happy, man. Hayden Hurst mixed in with these guys. Miles Sanders out of the backfield. A lot of again those escape valves or whatever you want to call them, safety blankets, if you will, for Bryce Young if the pressure does get to be a bit too much. I think they're building this offense the right way, dude.
Yeah,
Yep.
I really do too. As I've said numerous times on this show, on the free for all, it's just the sheer amount of size and athleticism that the Panthers have at the receiver position. And by the way, I want to give credit where credit's due. Shout out to my guy KPM in the chat because he has been down in Spartanburg, delivering some incredible photos. I mean, I'm talking about professional level photos from training camp. In fact, the one that you see on screen right there with Terrace Marshall making that jump ball, yeah, that's KPM's photo right there. So, KPM, you are the man. We appreciate you, brother. Happy that you're producing these incredible photos, man. You're killing the game, man. We definitely appreciate you here at C3. Let me welcome my man Bat Daddy back to the show. Greg, we're talking about Terrace Marshall Jr. and Jonathan Mingo. How Jonathan Mingo is listed as a wide receiver number 1 on the first official depth chart for the Carolina Panthers, and Terrace Marshall Jr. is listed at number 2. However, today, every beat reporter, every publication unanimously comes out and rants and raves about Terrace Marshall Jr. today. How fast he looks, how sure his hands are, and how he has so much more physical ability compared to a lot of people on that team right now. And compared that with Jonathan Mingo, the past few days, he makes great separation, but Jonathan Mingo has had a few drops yesterday and today. So what are you making of this receiver position? And are you happy that now Terrace Marshall Jr. is finally starting to make himself known in this offense?
I don't know what to make of it, to be truly honest with you, because I know that through training camp, we were talking about how great DJ Chark looked. And I didn't even hear you say DJ Chark's name one time in that whole thing there. And now, like, he's not even number 2 on the depth chart. We were talking about how terrible Terrace Marshall Jr. looked. How he wasn't with the number 1s, how he didn't have anything that razzed us.
Well,
all of a sudden, oh, go ahead.
To be clear, right now the number. So here I'll put up this depth chart. Thanks you, Pickle, for providing me a much more in-depth look at the depth chart. Hopefully, everybody can see this right here. As of right now, the wide receiver number 1s that they have listed as 1s are DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, and Jonathan Mingo. You have Terrace Marshall Jr. and Laviska Shenault listed at number 2s. However, the main point that we're making is that today, Terrace Marshall Jr. might have had the best day that any Carolina Panther has had through practice this 2023 season. Like, the man just balled out today. And, I remember earlier when we were in Spartanburg, a lot of us were kind of wondering, where is Terrace Marshall Jr.? Where is Terrace Marshall? But now you're starting to see him really turn it on, and that's very heartening to me. I love that.
No, I do love it too, and I hope that Terrace Marshall works out to be well. But I mean, like, are you? I don't get how we can hate on a player, or at least not love a player for so long, and then all of a sudden he does one good thing. Because even I have a good day at work. He does one good thing, and we're like, TMJ? Oh my God, this guy's amazing. And it's like, well,
you're talking about TMJ?
Yeah.
Dude, no. So he's had arguably one of the better camps since Back Together Saturday. Like, really? we were talking about his disappointment wasn't a matter of like him not looking good. Our disappointment early in training camp is that he had been making all of his reps day 1 with the number 2 squad. Like, he wasn't running with the 1s. When he would get an opportunity, he was coming down with the ball. I don't think I've seen a drop from him at all. I've seen him get open. I've seen him make contested catches. And I was actually pushing back on the narrative that everybody was saying, like, he's nowhere to be found. Like, I mean, he was there day 2, day 3. He was actually showing up pretty good. Since Back Together Saturday, Greg, he has been on fire. Like many people are calling him the MVP of this camp so far because of how this past week of practice has gone for him. Which I think is more impressive. Now, again, the surprise to me with this depth chart, as I was talking about, was that Mingo is still number one with the performance that TMJ has been putting up, and Mingo having a bit of struggles holding onto the ball and making contested catches. TMJ didn't have those struggles, and he's a go-to for Andy Dalton on that second string.
See, okay, I guess my only issue is maybe I've misheard things, or maybe I've only been. I just know that last week I had to put up a poll because we were talking so bad about how Terrence Marshall Jr. wasn't doing anything. I had to put up a poll in the chat of who has more trade value, Terrence Marshall Jr. or Matt Corral. Because we were just like, this guy's not doing anything. What do we? And maybe I was reading that wrong. I very well could have been. I know that the one pass that I say was a really bad pass in training camp that y'all say was a great catch was by Mingo. And that's all I remember. I remember seeing a lot of Mingo and DJ Chark from Bryce Young, but I don't remember seeing a lot of Terrence Marshall. And it may have just been me not paying attention, to be honest with you. I just feel like, and like I said, I may have been reading the room wrong. I feel like we've been trashing on TMJ. Like, this he's with the number twos. He's not going to be the guy. He hasn't been doing this. And then now all of a sudden, he has a great day today.
Yeah, no doubt. Everything is very reactionary.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is very everything is very in the moment, like early on. I mean, I even said this when we were at Monster Subs and Grubs doing our show over there, that, to the people that were worried about Terrence Marshall Jr., man, it was so early to me, man. I mean, the Jets hadn't even come into town yet. And then we have to think how much that's going to change things. Like, no matter what it is right now, I guarantee you that if Terrence Marshall Jr. comes out and makes a bunch of plays against the Jets when they have the likes of Sauce and Gardner up there, dude, that is going to mean the world for a player like Terrence Marshall Jr. And not even just him, but even Jonathan Mingo. Like, these guys have a chance to further ingratiate themselves to these coaches and show them what they're capable of doing this season.
You're right, but you're talking about the preseason game on Saturday where Terrence Marshall Jr., if he's on the field with the ones, is probably going to face an elite defensive back maybe one time.
Right. I mean,
and he may not get the ball passed to him. Maybe a run.
All he can do is what he's asked to do.
You're right. You're right.
Right. Yeah.
But I just don't feel like that is going to be, unless he does some kind of amazing, unbelievable catch against this elite defender. It's on him to make it work. Let me put it that way. If he doesn't do something amazing, then it's all for nothing, whatever we see in the preseason game on Saturday.
Hey, man,
he has to be amazing.
Put them wet blankets in the chat because, that's what my man Greg does. He has to come here and
I'm that reality
do the wet blanket sometime. By the way, if you would like those custom emojis, consider hitting the join button for $1.99 a month. We're going to be putting out more and more content this year. We're going to be putting out film studies, a bunch of extra content, and a bunch of custom badges and emojis are for $1.99. But all that content will come out even earlier for our subscribers on YouTube, for all of our members. We appreciate each and every single one of you, man. Panther Picker, I think you wanted to say something. Jump in on this, man.
Real quick, I wanted to shout out some of the Saint and fans in the chat.
Gross.
Please don't take this the wrong way, or you can if you want to, but shut the hell up. You're good. Pulled up and understand your ass whooping will come. Just hold your shorts. We'll get to you. And remember, I know you had hopes of some of the free agents you brought in to look at, to sign. You can sign who you want. It still ain't going to help you protect your quarterback.
You're damn sure ain't.
And that depth charts, one thing, I want to point out, Shi Smith is number 3.
Yeah.
Depth chart on the returners. On both kick and punt returners. He's number 3. He's not even, now granted, one of them is Demir Bird, is the backup punt returner, but he's out. So, And Greg Jennings seems to have a lot more plays than Shi Smith. I'm going to disagree. I don't think Shi Smith makes the roster, even if Demir Bird isn't healthy. I just don't think that. I think there's a few other choices on the roster that may during the preseason, and it'll all equal out to the preseason. If Shi Smith has several drops and somebody else don't, that may be.
Hey, Pickle, listen. Pickle, Tony Dunn is not on the show tonight. So normally you wouldn't be allowed to slander Demir Bird. But now I'm running the show, brother. I'm not trying to hear no Shi Smith slander, bro. And now
we'll see.
And
we'll just
now because of the injury, and we're going to talk about that a little more in depth later. I think that with what happened to Demir Bird, there's even a better chance that Shi Smith probably does make the roster as a returner. I don't know. I mean, wilder things could happen. I mean, you have white chocolate pounding the table for Josh Van. But, hey, man, listen, before we go any further, there are people that love to hear us talk Panther football, and that's what they come here for. But then there's a certain select few who come here for other reasons. Yeah, they like to hear CK talk dirty to them. So do your thing, Big Papa.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we've made it. The off season, granted, some people might call the preseason still a part of the off season. We are a few days away from actual Panthers football. We're about to be able to hear helmets clacking against one another. We're about to see people getting slammed to the ground, potentially touchdown passes, interceptions galore. You've come to C3 tonight to have your last conversation before actual football takes place. But you haven't hit that like button yet. Well, I have one thing to say to all you absolute freaks. Subscriber shame.
118 people watching, 81 thumbs up. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. Check out our sponsors at Caldera. Use promo code C3 for 20% off. Consider joining for $1.99. We appreciate all the ways in which you interact with this here C3 Panthers pod. But you know what we're going to do first, boys? And remember, if we have any hiccups tonight, I'm doing this all via StreamYard. There's no Tony's phone tonight.
Blame Tony.
I'll blame Tony no matter what. How about that? Tonight,
Tony in that red hat.
Yeah, man, Tony in the red hat. Tonight, what do you say we jump into some cat calls? If you would like to be a part of the show, the number is 252-228-5098. Hit that phone line up and leave us a message, and we will take your message. Let's jump into it, boys.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Good afternoon, boys. This is Baby Rhino in Jamestown. I haven't called a little bit, but I had to touch base with you guys. I want to start it off by saying it's been noted you guys are all becoming celebrities. Before you all know it, you guys will forget all about us little people. Just kidding.
Never.
No, I like the way you guys are doing things, and you know, things are heading in the right direction for C3.
Appreciate you, brother.
Really, what I was calling you guys about, you went down to training camp, got some good insight from you guys about that. But, I'm hearing things like coming out of training camp that there's not a lot of wasted movement, that everything's a lot more organized, and I've also heard the comment that some of that can be attributed by Bryce Young. Knowing the playbook and just hearing you guys say he looks like the best quarterback on that field, and just wanted to get you guys' take on that, because if that's the case, and everything we put around the defense with some signings this week, especially Justin Houston, J-Hud. So, yeah, I mean, the defense is looking strong. I'm hoping that benefits the offense. Just wanted to get you guys' take on whether you saw that at training camp or not. Do the usual, hit the like and subscribe button, give these guys the attention they need and what they're requesting from us, because they do put this content out for us. You guys keep motherfucking pounding.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate you, brother.
Hey, can I comment real quick on the?
Yeah, let me pause that. All right, yeah, go ahead, man.
Comment real quick on the first part of that call, the celebrities.
Sure.
Cody, we'll just say it, man. We had like 7 people recognize us,
Dude,
and let me just let you know,
7 or 8 people, man.
it wasn't 7 people that recognized us. It was 7 people that recognized Cody. All right.
Well, I mean,
Like,
the
weren't
beard's hard to miss
Greg.
too.
Yeah, yeah. But it's cool. Like, I guess we are celebrities now, man. Like, we have tens and tens
It's
of people
weird,
who are
isn't
cheering for us.
I've not had
Fine.
anybody ask for my autograph though, so let's
Yeah,
cool
mine
it on
yet
that.
either. So I've been working on mine. I want that football signature
handshakes.
autograph. Yeah, I've been working on my autograph.
I did last year at FanFest, but dude, it's been humbling, man. Whenever you have people recognize you, even Panther Pickle had someone recognize him at Saturdays for everybody, man.
Yeah,
I got a few numbers. Yeah.
If somebody out there listening and you were that person, I just need a shout out. Okay, you do it privately, you do it public, however you want to. I want to know who asked me for the shut the hell up in the parking lot of FanFest Saturday. I just want to know who it was.
Hey, and when I say I got a few numbers, I'm married. I don't mean women's numbers. They were all for men who were fans of the show. So, yeah.
But hey, he also brought up in his call the fact that everything seems much more regulated this year in terms of what it was last year under Matt Rule.
Oh, yeah.
And that it seems that this coaching staff just has a much better hold on things than previous years. How much of a difference do you think is that going to make for the Panthers entering into the season to have these coaches that are much more regimented, that know what they're doing, having that actual leadership propelling them into the season? How important for that is that? How important for us is that this year?
Well, I'll let them answer, but I want to add one more question to that. How many people did you hear coming here because they wanted to play for Matt Rule, and how many people have you heard say wanted to play for Frank Reich? Go.
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day difference.
Yeah, I take it from a couple of players that I heard on the radio today. They love this training camp. They love how it's done. They're not exhausted. They're not worn out. Especially some of the older players. They're not pushed to exhaustions. Where they're giving them. They work a day and they're off day, and even when they're working, they're not pushed so hard that they can't concentrate on what they're doing. And some of that stuff I never thought about. Even their off days, they're going through mental reps. So there's not really an off day, but it's a day that they can concentrate on mental reps. And when you got a player like Jeremy Chin who's playing multiple positions and he's learning multiple positions, the mental reps are as or more important than the physical reps are.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, that level of preparedness, when you have players moving positions, having coaches that know what they're doing to help them ease that transition as they move around, dude, that's so important. And we all know the rumors last year that we hear broke at C3, that there was a lot of tension between people like Jeremy Chin and Phil Snow, and that it wasn't good, man. And when you have a coaching staff that you trust, to me, that pays dividends, man. But let's go back to these calls at 252-228-5098. And cover me for just a second here, boys.
What's up, my C3 brothers? This is Chase from Anderson. As for Brian Burns is not close getting a contract done. If it's for he wants to break the bank contract and want to be a top paid defensive end. Piss on that.
Wow.
Franchise tag him next year. Draft his replacement in 2025. If not, trade him this year or next year. I mean, there's plenty of up-and-coming edge rushers that can almost get to the quarterback. Now, I'll change my tune on that if he actually lives up to expectation and his hype this year. Then we'll talk. If he lives up to that hype to be a top 1, 2, or 3 pass rusher, then we'll talk. Another thing is, when you get a chance, look at the amount of free agents that's hitting for the Panthers this coming off season. That's a long list of guys to re-sign or replace. So all that cap space we got for next year, that's where it's going. There's a lot of re-signing holes to fill. And I want to know, what is going to be the excuse for Justin Fields not looking like a good passer this coming season? Because he's still going to look like a not so good passer, I believe.
That's the question mark.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the Justin Fields conversation is an interesting one to have. I think we're all hoping that he looks bad so that we look like we won that trade. But he's been throwing some darts in training camp as well. And so I think it'll be interesting for him to have a guy like DJ Moore with an actual offense surrounding him and a defense that keeps him off the field and having to run the ball like crazy. So I'm hoping they fit. I mean, I'm not hoping, but I know that they're hoping they fixed a lot of their issues so that they're not dealing with that being a recurrence. But if any indication, I mean, we talked about it, his entire college career, he wasn't known as the runner. He was known as a guy who could pass the ball. And so that's where, you know, if that's the case, if he can put it together this year, they could be dangerous.
Well, first, we can't let that first part go unanswered. Dude, that was wild. If he's talking about Brian Burns wanting to franchise tag him and not pay him, like that's wild to me, man. I mean,
good.
Here's the question, though. Here's the question. From reports, if the reports are accurate, Brian Burns doesn't want close to the highest paid. He wants above the highest paid. Are you willing to give him a blank check? That's what you got to ask yourself.
That's a great question, and I had to pull up some stats to be able to talk about this subject with this guy because I feel like I'm partially responsible for what he said. To be truly honest with you, I feel like I called Brian Burns the king of almost a little while back.
Of course,
and I think that may have stuck with some people because, to be honest with you, he was. But seriously, let's look at this: 4 years in the NFL, right outside linebacker, left defensive end, right defensive end, defensive end. So he's played 4 different positions, 2 different coaches, 2 different defensive coordinators. Okay. I understand what this guy's saying, but this guy is only 25 years old and he had 12 and a half sacks last season. Now that he has a coach that I think is actually a great defensive coordinator and can put him in a position and we have players around him, I want to see what he can do. Like maybe he's not the highest paid, but what he said in the call was franchise tag him and draft the next guy. Linebackers aren't like that. Like that's not like when you have an elite linebacker, it's not like that. And while Brian Burns may not be the most elite linebacker, he has the potential to be. And you won't find a guy in the draft as good as he is right now unless you're really lucky or you got a great draft pick.
And you know how we were talking about Brian Burns being Mr. Almost for a few seasons now. I was listening to the interview with Justin Houston today, and they asked him what he preferred to play, and he said 3-4 outside linebacker. But the reason he said that he'd like to be standing up is because it gives him a view of everything happening in the offensive backfield. Whereas when you have your hand in the dirt, basically the only thing that you can really see and that you're paying attention to is the tackle lined up across from you. So imagine what kind of jump Brian Burns could have this year playing his natural position of outside linebacker, giving him better vision and a better opportunity to use that elite level of athleticism to be able to make plays on the football. You know, Pickle, it's for that reason alone. And I know you don't really want to pay someone based off of potential, but based on what he has done before and the fact that you know you have Bryce Young on a rookie contract right now, I'll be damned, boys. This is the time to do it. You may not want to pay that type of money right now, but Brian Burns has been better every year for the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
Every single year. And now that you have a Giro Rivero as the guy calling the shots on defense, and you're putting him at his natural position, I'm sorry. I don't care what you have to pay Brian Burns. Pay the man. He's been at training camp the entire time. He could have held out and decided, nah, I'm not gonna be there. I'm gonna wait until you pay me. No, that man is there, getting better every single day. Brian Burns is a dedicated Carolina Panther, and we need to pay that man, damn it. Hands down. Pay Brian Burns.
Well,
That's
if
my
they pay him, I'm all right with that. But I want to answer one question the caller had. He was talking about folks next year coming up. And he's right. There was a lot. But let's be real clear. If you look at that list, it's not folks that would be hard to replace. Okay, let's be real. You've got
Right.
C.J. Henderson, DJ Chark's on a voidage year. You got Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu and Brian Burns is your top guys. Sam Franklin, you got Gross Matos. Right now, you're questioning whether you want to give him a contract. You got Damian Bird on that list. You've got Eric Rao. Yeah, you got Hill on that list. There's a few guys you want to keep, but the majority of that list are guys that you're going to replace quickly anyway, if you maybe already have those replacements on your roster. So don't get lost with how many people you have to sign next year. Worry about this year. Next year will be here next year, and we'll get to deal with the next year.
Yeah.
I mean,
well said.
because it ain't going nowhere. Well, it could, but it generally ain't. But
No, but
I mean, a
I
lot of them
understand the
folks will
point
take
that
care
you
of
make.
themselves. A lot of them folks, Jeremy Chin's on that list. We hope Jeremy Chin has a great year. If Jeremy Chin doesn't have a great year, chances are, you may not want to resign him. Michael Jordan's on that list, and y'all know how I feel about Michael Jordan. So,
how about this? There is no other player on the Carolina Panthers that I would rather pay top of the market than Brian Burns.
Exactly.
That's a good question right there. Is there a better player on the team to pay that money to? If you're going to pay any player right now on the team,
I mean,
top dollar, who's it going to be? It's got to be Brian Burns,
until Bryce proves himself, no.
But we just paid Bryce, right? Like Bryce hadn't even proved himself.
No, I'm saying I mean a long term. Hey, we love you. We're going to pay you top dollar type deal, right? J.C. Horn, he's been injured, so we can't pay him yet. I still want to see a little more out of Derek Brown, not calling him bad or whatever, but I still want to see some more of him in the pass rushing department. This year will be a big year from him in terms of that.
Right. I'm not willing to pay Horn until Horn has to have a healthy year. I know
he still has a few years though, right?
He does.
Yeah, he has at least
he's still got a few years.
Yeah, he has like 2 or 3
years. He has plenty of time to have them years and to get a nice contract later. So.
Right.
Yep.
But,
all right. Let's continue on at 252-228-5098.
Hey, C3 family, C3 Panther Billy here. Kind of interested with this depth chart that come out today. Wondering if it's real or if it's just something made up. But 2 things stand out to me. Blackshear being RB2 over Chuba Hubbard is kind of surprising. And Mingo being over Terrace Marshall Jr. Do y'all think Terrace Marshall has fell out of favor with the coaches? Is he just not getting the shot that Mingo's going to get because he's with those coaches and, they drafted him?
It's a legit question.
What are your thoughts?
It is,
Appreciate
but I got an
y'all.
answer.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
No, you're right. That's a legit question. The thing is, though, is I don't think Terrence Marshall Jr. fell out of the graces of the coaching staff. I think he was never in it. I don't think he's made that. And here's the thing: you drafted Mingo in the second round as a weapon to give to Bryce Young. So yes, of course, I think the coaching staff is going to be more apt to go with Mingo than they are to go with Terrence Marshall Jr. They've seen product from Terrence Marshall Jr. in the pros, which has not been all bad. He's been he's had some good moments, but they've seen what he could do. I don't think they're giving up on him, but I don't think that it's even fair, to be honest with you, to automatically go ahead and give TMJ this spot over Mingo when we obviously drafted Mingo for a reason, and TMJ has been on the team for what? This is his third year, and he hasn't been what we expected him to be. Granted, he hasn't had the quarterback play we expected either, so I'm not giving up on him. Or the coaches. I agree. So I'm not giving up on him, but at the same time, I think it's unfair to Mingo to automatically demote him behind TMJ when, at least from what I've seen in training camp and the Van Fest, Mingo is a better receiver than TMJ, just from what I've seen. So I don't know.
Well, as I said, he has had a lot of drops in recent days, and that they said that he has no problem winning his routes, but he's had a few drops whereas Terrence Marshall Jr. has been more sure-handed. So,
I think a lot of it's going to come down to preseason. I really do. I think you're going to see a lot of preseason games out there where you're going to see, and it wouldn't shock me at all for us to have some preseason games that your 1 and 2 wide receivers on that field are Mingo and Marshall, and the winner takes it. I mean, it's just what it's cruel NFL fact, but the better player gets the job, and doesn't mean the other is out. It's just the other's got to work harder for next year because they'll both be on the contrary to what some fans think. They'll both be here next year. So, and Chark may not be here next year. So, they both be fighting over the number 2
That is going to be the question mark about where Chark's at.
Let me ask you though, and this is a great question right here. I can't even answer it in my own head. Would you rather have a receiver that can clearly get open for a pass and catch the ball 75% of the time, or a receiver that can't get open and you throw less passes to because he's not open, but he catches the ball 90% of the time?
I don't think that's a fair assessment. I think Terrence Marshall Jr. is getting open.
Okay. I was just going by what was said
earlier.
Especially
today. They said today he seemed bigger and faster than everyone else.
Okay.
So, but they all have the ability to do that, man. I'm not, I know I have a big head, both literally and figuratively, but, not to toot my own horn here, but this is what I've been saying forever about this receiver core. They're tall as hell. They're fast. They're long. No one's going to mention our receiving core as one of the best in the NFL, yet let them cook a little bit, man. Let this athleticism have time to turn on, find its rhythm. And I think people are going to be really surprised at what the Panthers are able to do this year, man. All right. Next call.
Hey, what's up, C3? This is Al. Calling
what
in.
Up, Al?
I think Justin Houston, he's going to make the defense better because now we got a legit end. We can move Frankie Louvu around. We can move Jeremy Chin around. We can have Deion Jones playing middle linebacker was another big help. And, man, I don't know. The defense is looking real nasty, bro. We just got it. I mean, if we stay healthy, we can have a great defense. I'm going to call back with a part 2 about an Uber I picked up at Dolphins training camp where they had a joint practice with Atlanta. Later, guys.
All right, let's hear that.
Hey, what's up, C3? This is Al. Calling in. I think Justin Houston, he's gonna make the defense.
Yeah, that's the same one. I have to find part 2 to his call, but give me that. Talk a little bit about Justin Houston while I find the second part of that call.
He's amazing. He's old. He's not even as old as I am, and I'm saying he's old. He's old for an NFL player, but he's amazing, and I'm glad he's here.
I wish I was as old as he was, or as young as he was. I had the money.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. maybe wasn't as shape as he is, though, or at least halfway there. So.
Yeah,
but
I think the only thing people can have to say against Justin Houston is that he is old.
Yep.
I mean, to be honest with you, what other complaint could you have about him?
There was no other. I told Cody Sunday when we were on that little break thing we did, and I said I knew he was there, but he's a guy. He's 34 years old. He's a guy in the NFL you look at and you say, okay, he hasn't fallen off yet, but it's coming. And you say that every year. I kept telling everybody Tom Brady was going to fall off the cliff here sometime. And I said that 6 years in a row. So finally, I quit saying it.
Yeah. Well, look at it like this. Here's the thing: is for the NFL, for the position he's in, he's an older player. Okay, but he's still producing. Yep. For most people, this right here is technically not even your prime yet.
Right.
Like it's past your physical prime, but the actual prime of your being, like how the best you're going to be, is like 37 to 45. Like that's where you're supposed to be, have everything figured out. This guy's not even hit that yet. And I get it. It's weird because we judge sports and life differently, but there are some people who just perform well, like athletically, into their older age. And I feel like based on what I've seen from him, he's one of those guys. Look at Julius Peppers, man. He was producing until the last minute.
Yep. Yeah, that was one of my comparisons.
Yeah. I mean, to the last minute he was producing. Like some players go out on a bad note. Some players go out on top. Peyton Manning, players like that, So I mean, it's just, I think that it would be dumb. We didn't overpay this guy. Like we didn't break the bank for him. But I think the value he's going to bring to us, even if it's not physically and in the game, mentally with the players and what they can do is well worth what we're spending.
Yeah. I think I found part 2 to Al's call.
So, yes, I picked up an Uber in Miami Gardens at the Dolphins Stadium. They had a training camp with Atlanta. And the Miami Dolphins fan was telling me that all they were doing was dinking and dunking, and that Ritter doesn't look really good. And the Dolphins defense, we played them later this year. He said the Dolphins defense is going to be lights out, he said. And that Tua's arm is looking super strong. But
I've heard that too.
We got them. Bump that team, bump Atlanta, bump Miami, and we're going to take them. We're going to take them out, bro. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
20.
Good night. Appreciate you, Al. Man, we got some inside intel about the Falcons dinking and dunking everywhere. We'll go Pickle, then Greg. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who the player is. I'm looking at him now. He's on it was on Twitter. He's a Dolphin player, and I'm assuming he's beardy. He's kind of tall. I know somebody, and Billy 91 posted it. They asked him, "What do you think of Ritter?" And there's a bunch of reporters there, so it's a main star. He said, "I'm sorry, who's that? What number?" And he's not joking. He's very serious. He's very serious. He doesn't even know who Ritter is. So your question, I mean, Falcon fans, tell me why I should be scared. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
First game of the year, we'll beat the Falcons in blowout style. We'll shut them down.
Love it.
I'll agree with you on that, Pickle, but I'll tell you the only thing I'll be scared of, not even scared of, the only thing that'll cross my mind about the Falcons is I've heard rumors of them trade for Trey Lance. And I know that they say Trey Lance is not doing great in preseason right now or great in training camp right now, but that guy's going to produce for whatever team he goes to. Like, no matter where he goes, he's going to end up producing.
How do we know that?
I do know that. Come on, man. He's not going. Well,
how?
Actually, you're right. I don't know that. I feel like he's going to be a decent quarterback. I don't think he's going to be an elite level quarterback in the NFL.
Like, what's the difference? But I feel like he's going to be good. What's the difference between Desmond Ritter and Trey Lance? It's two dudes that have not played a lot of football at all, and they have
you say that now because you've seen Trey Lance play 2 games. But 2 years ago, if Desmond Ritter was coming in the draft and Trey Lance was the draft, who are you picking?
Trey Lance.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's what I'm
Trey
saying.
Lance,
so you're only going by recency bias that Brock Purdy did really well.
Ritter was a better college football player.
In the 49ers depth chart, and I granted it's their preseason depth chart, they have Brock Purdy listed as the starter and Trey Lance or Sam Darnold as number 3.
As number 2.
Number 2.
He's not doing very well.
Exactly. So if you're the 49ers, if both your number, if right now your starter has very little experience, and what little bit he played, he looked good, but the other two are questionable, I'm not certain I'd trade any quarterback. You never know when they're going to need one of them quarterbacks. Because if you're 49ers, imagine the fact that you trade Trey Lance to another team and he becomes a star there.
Well, I've heard that Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy is the number 1 right now for the 49ers, and Trey Lance and Sam Darnold are some semblance of 2 and 3, and they didn't even say which one's which. So, shout out to Al for giving us the intel from a Dolphins fan. I did see clips of Tua looking good, but bro, there has been a lot of rumors that Desmond Ridder has failed to look good during this training camp. I mean, I saw a clip of him just underthrowing, or really putting the ball far behind Kyle Pitts, and Kyle had to do it 100%. He had to do a 180 turn around, try and snag the ball, and it was too far behind him. He couldn't even make the play.
It sounds like a weak name, Desmond Ridder. I can't even respect that name, Desmond Ridder. I don't know. It sounds weak.
According to the 33rd team, Jeff Diamond, it's a group of major reporters and ex-players and ex-GMs that I've heard them a lot on NFL radio. They've got a program they listen to quite often. They're claiming that the Bucs have inquired with the 49ers about Trey Lance.
I believe it.
I do too. Like I said, I think he's going to start somewhere. Yeah.
Now, I've also heard that Kyle Trask was doing okay in Tampa.
I heard he's killing it. Not okay. I heard he's
he's ahead of Baker Mayfield. So, but Kyle Trask is he's if I can remember correctly, he's not a mobile guy. He's a statue in a pocket.
Yeah, he's a statue, but he's a big guy. He played a lot for Florida. Him and Kyle Pitts. That was Kyle Pitts' quarterback when they were at Florida.
I'm thinking real quick. If Kyle Pitts plays, you think Brian Burns could make 10 sacks in one game on a statue?
I don't know, maybe. Hey, look.
I'd like to see 10 sacks by the Panthers in one game.
That'd be nice.
15.
Yeah, that'd be real
I
nice.
might as well say 15, man. If you're going to go high, go high.
Yeah, 15.
Go ahead, Greg. Then we'll take another call. Then we'll continue with the slide.
Well, I just want to ask, we've all got to be real here and think about, right now, I feel like we have the best quarterback in the NFC South, right?
Right.
For sure.
There's a really, really good chance, based on the rumors, that Trey Lance, that Cade Mays, and the other guy that you guys say is better than him, that is going to get drafted next year, are all in the NFC South next year.
Oh, you mean Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams, yeah.
Yeah, and Drake May.
Drake May.
Cade Mays is our right guard right now. Yeah.
Drake May. There's a real good chance that we have a 4 really young, really good quarterbacks in the NFC South after this year.
I would hate that.
I would too, but isn't that a chance? Seriously, that's a really good chance that'll happen.
Dude, if Tampa Bay and Atlanta ended up with Caleb Williams and Drake May, come on, dude. That's
You want to hear an interesting take now?
Yeah.
If let's just say Bryce Young hits, CJ Stroud hits, Anthony Richardson hits, and you look at how many teams actually have elite level quarterbacks, how long before we devalue that position?
Ooh, that's a really good point. That's a really good point, CK, because then there'll only be 5-6 teams in the league that don't have elite level.
Right.
Yeah, but also at the same time, remember the NFC right now, especially in comparison to the AFC, there are not a lot of good quarterbacks.
There's not. But my point being is if that starts to change, right? AFC is stacked. Like when you look at, you can point to probably more than half of all the teams in the AFC, and you're like, oh, they have elite quarterbacks. Where they're set, they're good, they're moving in the right direction, right? The NFC is, if these, a lot of these draft picks hit, is heading in that same direction, right? So now all of a sudden, if 20 teams have elite level quarterbacks, the only thing that differs one team from the other is obviously if those quarterbacks are better than other quarterbacks. Don't get me wrong. But the thing that's really going to be the needle mover is the other positions, either on offense or on defense. And all of a sudden, we're talking about this cyclical situation where all of a sudden these other position groups become super valuable. I'm not saying the quarterback's not going to be important, but I'm just saying when you see how many quarterbacks there are that you would almost just put elite under their name, and the amount of people coming out that have been said, this guy has all the same potential to be that same elite, all of a sudden you're dealing with 20 elite quarterbacks, and that's not a recipe for you to like be able to just pay these guys astronomical contracts.
It's a great
point.
Yeah.
It's a good point, and that's also what comes up when people talk about putting a team in Germany or the UK or whatever, that if you did expand the NFL, there are enough quarterbacks coming through the draft that would theoretically be able to fill those brand new positions on different teams too. And the amount of time you have to reload, like someone brought up in the chat, Sideshow, like if you look at all of the way too early mock drafts right now, everybody has Arizona picking number 1. Like Kyler Murray wasn't drafted that long ago, and they paid him. But if they have a chance to draft a Caleb Williams or a Drake May, they're probably going to do it. So the turnaround, and the demand for quarterbacks is so high that I don't know if it'll ever get to the running back point. But no, that's a great thing to think about, CK, is like there are a lot of quarterbacks coming out of the pipeline now that end up being pretty successful.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is what you're talking about the putting teams in Germany and the UK and all this stuff. That's awesome, but at what point are you starting to dilute the product?
Yeah, that's my same word.
Seriously, like when you,
that's my same word.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and tell you right now, Taylor Swift is awesome, right? But I guarantee you, there are 10 million people in the world that can sing as good as her. I guarantee it.
I agree.
You know? So like at what point do you start to dilute the product where it's like you stop making these players elite, you stop picking the elites from where you want, and because it's just like a strike in the NFL. You can strike in the NFL for a couple of years, the product will be diluted. Then guess what? Everybody forget about you, and we'll have new players. Like that's the way it goes. So
yeah, let's go ahead, pick one, then we'll take another.
I just wanted to say that Will Levis is actually 3rd on the depth chart. Right.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. That's a news point for our around the NFL point. Yeah. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about. We'll take one more call. Again, the number is 252-228-5098. We'll play all the voicemail, but we're going to take another call, and then we'll move on with the rest of our planned show.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What up, Ant?
Boys are having a good Tuesday. Just wanted to call in. Training camp is ending soon. First joint practice with the Jets tomorrow. That's going to be awesome. I know a lot of people aren't high on the Jets, but the Jets have a lot of good damn players, especially on the defensive end. So we'll get to see what Bryce is made of through this camp. Second thing I wanted to say, obviously the big news that happened about 2 days ago, Justin Houston is officially a Carolina Panther. I honestly forgot about this dude as well, but he's a legend. I mean, 112 career sacks basically. He's a great player, knows how to get to the quarterback, knows how to stop the run. That's exactly what we need as a pass rushing threat, besides for Brian Burns. Finally, someone to absolutely make an impact, even though he's old. Frank Reich said he's going to be a rotational player, but yeah, that's what he was last year. And on limited snaps, I think combined, he had more sacks, more pressures, and a better run stop rate. So, come on now. What are we talking about? He's already started. This is exactly what I've been saying for 2 months. Quick shout out to Panther Pickle for being a horseman tonight. That's got to be cool. Maybe I can get on there some Tuesday. I love the show. But, yeah, shout out to Panther Pickle, man. You've been a loyal C3 native for a long, long time now. So congrats to you, man. Should be a lot of fun. And the other thing I wanted to say is I'm feeling more confident about our team. I've been a little pessimistic with my expectations, but I could potentially see us winning maybe 11 games this year. I know that is a lot to ask for, but from everything that's coming out, from the way Bryce Young looks to the way the team has been ran and everything I've heard, it seems like it's been all positive vibes. And the last thing I do want to say real quick is it's no surprise to me that Jonathan Mingo is the third wide receiver behind Thielen and Sharp. Like, they drafted this guy. It's their guy in their regime. They want to make sure they can give him as many opportunities to show out as they can because he's the one that's going to be here with Bryce Young throughout both of their careers. I'm sorry, but Terrace Marshall, I think this is going into year 3 now. He really hasn't shown anything. I mean, he's flashed in very, very small sample sizes. But give me your thoughts on all that. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounded, boys.
Hey, appreciate you, my guy, Anthony. Yeah, I mean, he makes some great points there. Shout out to Pickle. Love having Pickle on the Tuesday show, man. Yeah, I mean, thinking about, I get what he's saying, and people have said that too. The fact that we drafted Jonathan Mingo, it's their guy. They're the coaching staff that chose him. I would just like to pump the brakes, man. Like, I have been very high on Terrace Marshall Jr., and I'm not about to stop that now, man. Like, it might take him a little while to come on relative to some of the other guys. But, dude, I'm sorry. I am not ready to give up on the sheer athleticism, the size, the speed. And by the way, I know Anthony's not giving up on him either, but there is this mindset of, well, he's not their guy. He hasn't done enough. Like, bro, y'all need to pump the brakes, man. Let this man work. Let this man continue to impress the coaches. And I guarantee you, Thomas Brown is going to find a way to get these dudes involved in the game plan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think listen. I've said beginning of the season that I think, or in the off season, that I think TMJ has the potential to step this up pretty tremendously. Now there's some things coming out, like Charles Johnson just tweeted something about Terrace Marshall and all the things, or about Mingo, saying all the things that he's hearing is that this guy is a wide receiver one just in waiting. And so, I mean, if that's the case, dude, I'm happy to have him on this team, but I am certainly not giving up on TMJ. This dude has too much potential for you to say that he is not capable of coming out here and doing well. The only reason he wasn't considered a de facto number 1 wide receiver prior to this year was because he got hurt in college. And that's really the extent of it. This dude, if he would have maintained, he would have been drafted in the first round. He would have been considered the next Jamar Chase or whoever it is that, at that point in time, Justin Jefferson, right?
Teammates with all of those, by the way.
Right. So, I mean, this isn't a situation where this guy is coming in with no talent, no ability to do anything. This is Prove It season 2, right? I'm fully aware of that. This is Prove It season. This guy's got to come out here and show what he's capable of doing. So far in camp, a slow start, but he has turned it on since then. And it's, what do they say about it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And at this point in time, it looks like he's heading to the finish line, looking better than a lot of those wide receivers not named, DJ Chark.
Yeah. Look, I would love for him to work out and be a great wide receiver, but I feel like I'm more on the side of where Anthony was here, where it's like you say that he came out of college injured, and that's why he wasn't a TMJ or Jamar Chase, but it's been 3 years now. So like I can only use the injury excuse for so long before it's like, well, okay, you were injured, but now you're healed. Let's see you produce. And I think he can. I think that he can be a good wide receiver, and I want to see, the production here. Maybe him and Bryce Young have a great connection. But I mean, I agree with Anthony. Like, we drafted Mingo for a reason. Like, if we believed TMJ was the guy, we would have never drafted him. We drafted Mingo. We would have drafted somebody else. We drafted Mingo because we did not believe TMJ was going to be the guy. And once again, we have speculation here. We have a lot of influence, but we don't know everything going on. We really don't. So I just feel like in this situation, I can't say that I put faith in Frank Reich and Evero and this entire staff about everything else. But then when they say TMJ's a number 2 behind this guy, nah, I don't believe you on that. Like, I just can't do it. If I'm going to believe Frank Reich and follow that train the whole way, I've got to follow the train the whole way. They think he's a number 2.
I hear you.
Be number 1. We'll see what happens.
I hear you. I just don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's the one for one. Well, they drafted Jonathan Mingo number 2, so therefore they don't believe in Terrace Marshall Jr. Or you just imagine this coaching staff had a vision for what this wide receiver core could be with a Terrace Marshall Jr., with a Jonathan Mingo, with a DJ Chark and an Adam Thielen. But the guy is too young. I think people put too much on this. Oh, he's from a different coaching staff. They didn't draft him or whatever. Well, one, it was still Fitterer that drafted Terrace Marshall Jr. But also, like, when you have players on your football team, you're not just looking to replace players because they came from somewhere different, right? And you believe that if you're better coaches than the guys that you've been hired to replace, that you're going to be able to get the extra juice out of those players that the previous coaching staff couldn't. So I don't know. How about this? I'll meet you halfway. This year is a very important year for Terrace Marshall Jr. Yeah. And if he doesn't perform this year, then yeah, everything that you said is 100% true. You're looking to move on from TMJ very soon, and you already have his replacement in Jonathan Mingo. But if he produces this year, and you only have DJ Chark on a 1-year contract, now all of a sudden that ability and that size and that speed is looking a lot more, palatable in this offense. It just depends on what he's able to do this season.
And I think that's where we got to give the coaching staff and the staff credit, because they set themselves up like that. If TMJ turns out to be great this year, awesome. We've got him. We can re-sign him. We can have him. If Chark turns out to be bad, oh well, he's gone. And vice versa. It works out perfect. But like I said, I just feel like if you feel like TMJ is that guy, then you don't sign DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, and draft Jonathan Mingo. Like, maybe if you did 1 or 2 of those options, that you could argue against that. But I feel like you don't sign 2 receivers and draft a receiver if you feel like TMJ is the guy. Like I said, they know more than we do, way more than we do. No matter how much we think we know about this, they're hands-on, in the face, talking to these players. We're not, Yeah. So I just feel like if you drafted this player and you sign these players, TMJ can prove himself. But this is pretty much, like you said, a make or break year. Like, I want to see him do well. That'd be awesome. That would be the best scenario. If TMJ works out well and you have a young TMJ that you can sign, you get rid of Thielen, you get rid of, well, Thielen's going to be here for 2 years. You get rid of Chark, and you keep what's his name? Mingo. But you're betting on a lot there.
Yeah, you are.
And I think they have insurance policies.
You bet on a lot when you signed him. I mean, you bet that Theoden doesn't look old like Minnesota thought they did. You're betting on Chark can stay healthy. You're betting on Terrace Marshall isn't injury prone.
It's hedging the bets. That's what they're doing. Yeah.
All of them. And if I'm the coach looking back, hindsight's always 20/20. Mm-hmm. If you look back and you go through the draft and you're sitting there, I wanted an edge rusher with the second pick. But I'm sitting there looking, is Theoden old? Is Terrace Marshall and DJ Chark injury prone? If I'm wrong about 1 or 2 of those, I'm going to need a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And if I've got a first-round grade on Mingo, I'm going to take Mingo just because I got that first round grade, because I don't know what I have on the others. Now, maybe I should have been a little bit less on signing them, but if Chark doesn't, if Chark's injury prone, basically, he doesn't produce like we want him to or think he's going to, then all you've got is this year, and you don't have to worry about that after that. So,
yeah. So on to this next topic, man, and shout out to my guy Tony. I miss him for moments like this, man. We've been having these back and forth debates about two South Carolina wide receivers. Not to make me happy, but two South Carolina wide receivers. And this was a big news story today. Demir Bird, who Tony Dunn is always bird watching, Baby Bird, that's how he calls him. Panthers wide receiver Demir Bird is going to be out anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks with what head coach Frank Wright describes as a significant hamstring injury that may even require surgery. Now, I said this a little bit earlier. I think this improves the chances for Shi Smith to be able to make the roster. And by the way, Shi Smith, if you trust our beat reporters, he has made some plays this training camp, and he has looked very well. My problem with Demir Bird is this is kind of in line with his history, man. And again, I don't want to pile on to a player who's hurt right now. I feel terrible for him, and I mean this is the type of stuff that decides a roster. You know, he might not make the team now because of this unfortunate injury, but the fact of the matter is that Demir Bird has been injured a lot in his career, and it looked as though he was about to be our punt returner. But now that's in question. Boys, what do you make of this? How do you think this changes our wide receiver room? And just your thoughts in general.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, I think that this is just opening the door for the other guys. I don't know what Demir Bird's overall position would have been really with this team. It seems, as I mentioned earlier, that he is finding out that Carolina is his kryptonite. He can go everywhere else, play an entire season, not get hurt. He comes here and he tears ACLs. He has hamstring injuries. Like, the dude's just needs to stay away from the Panthers as much as Tony loves the guy. But man, listen, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I don't know if it changes all that much our current circumstances. I think we're about the same place we were when, you know, he was healthy, I think. And that's no fault to him or anything like that. I don't know that he was the needle mover from this wide receiver chart that made us feel like we were going to be going to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it opens up the door for one of these other wide receivers to take that spot. I mean, it just does. Be it Shi Smith, be it Greg Jennings, or even Josh Vaughn, the rookie. So, from South Carolina. So, who knows? Just opens the door.
Greg, how about you, man? What are you thinking about Demir Bird's injury? And again, like I said, to me, this is, you know, one man's misfortune is another man's fortune, I suppose, because it does seem like this would be what is going to help somebody like Shi Smith make the roster. And look, man, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm a fan of Shi Smith. I want to see Shi do well. So,
look, Sideshow brings it up. My exact thoughts. Do we need a wide receiver 6 if our top 5s are legit? Like, I get it. He seemed like a special teams guy, and I want a guy who's fast and elusive that can, punt return and do kickoff returns. But y'all got a pretty good feeling in about a year or two, we're going to have XFL punt or XFL kickoffs. So it's not going to matter anyways. You know, the game is moving more and more towards being less physical, which was kind of what football was about. But, I just don't see it's going to.
What's up, C3?
Dismantle the need for players like Demir Bird, because while I like Demir Bird as a person and he's a much better athlete than I would ever be, he's just not a fantastic NFL wide receiver, and there's reason that he's left and come back to Carolina so much. I just don't see this as being a big deal. I don't see Damiere Byrd as, like you said, a needle mover. And to me, it's kind of an irrelevant story. You know, like, I get it. It's Panthers news, but it's like how many other people?
I mean, the returner is
name
probably
Damiere Byrd and know who he was.
The returner is probably the biggest question here. Like I said, it seemed as though he would be returning punts and kicks. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I hate it for him again. I know Tony loves Damiere Byrd, and by the way, he had been having a good training camp too. So
yeah, I mean, he can make some really good plays. Like, I'm not saying he's a terrible player. He's just not the. It sucks that the 2015 season makes you not want to say anything bad about Damiere Byrd. You know, and I don't want to say anything bad about Damiere Byrd. I don't dislike the guy. He's just every other receiver in front of him on the depth chart, I would rather have as receiver.
Well, and the fact that he might need a surgery, that makes it all the worse.
Yeah.
How about this? This is probably a bigger story. Eddie Pinheiro is suffering a groin injury. So because of this, the Panthers have signed kicker Matthew Wright. Now, we've had our ups and downs with Eddie Pinheiro last year, but does this give you any concern
Mainly
going
ups.
into – say what? What did you say, CK?
I said mainly ups.
Yeah.
I said mainly ups.
Yeah.
You don't like Pinheiro?
It's just almost normal. I mean, we haven't had a steady kicker here since I'm talking about steady who doesn't get hurt any at all. I mean, it just seems like every offseason we have a kicker who has an injury.
Didn't Pinheiro do pretty good last year, though? Wasn't he like 90%?
Yeah,
I mean, he's a good kicker.
For the most part. Yeah, for the most part.
He doesn't have a leg that can kick 72 yards, but he's a good kicker. Yeah.
And remember, Greg, at FanFest, dude was money, man. Dude was putting him through the uprights, man.
But, I mean, my point is, he replaced another kicker who was hurt, and he replaced the kicker who was hurt. And before that,
and he replaced the
Joey.
kicker who we let go because we're dumb with Harrison Butker.
Yeah, that's.
We don't even have to bring that up,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, that's.
I did.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, any other worries here connected to the groin injury? Again, it's not expected to be a very big deal.
Yeah.
Like Sideshow said, he was excellent from under 50 yards last season.
I don't know who this Matthew Wright is. I ain't even Googled him.
Well,
I just haven't.
Let's put it this way: if my kicker has an injury, I want it to be. I don't want to be his leg. I want it to be something because he's been kicking. Like a groin injury is probably because you've been kicking. I don't want like a broken thumb or a cracked rib or something because you're riding your four-wheeler. Like, and I don't know where this is from, but I imagine if you have a groin injury, it's probably because of your job.
I would imagine. Yeah. With what they do, I would imagine that too.
Hey, real quick, y'all want to see something hilarious? So, we're talking about depth charts. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they released their depth chart. And how about at quarterback? It's Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. Dude, Adam Schefter put on his Twitter, I don't know if I've ever seen an or on a depth chart before.
I did.
Dude,
last
that's
year.
bad.
Breaking records.
Last year they did that to Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold.
Dude, what is it about Baker, man? Him and he's
just
an
an or.
oars, man. Yeah, he's just an or.
He's just an or. He's just an or.
Just a damn or. All right, you don't want to take some more calls?
Let's do it.
And then we'll get into that graphic that has made Greg so angry. That ought to be fun.
What's going on, C3 family? D from Sanford. I know I came in on Sunday and spoke about Justin Houston. Nothing changes on that for me. But first of all, shout out to Cody, the whole group. We got the Panther Pickle in the building.
Appreciate you, man.
But Just quickly, I ain't gonna hold up too much time. Like I said, iron sharpens iron. I also think they probably looked at what we had on the roster, how they was performing so far, chose to bring in somebody who can do the job right now, but prepare the guys for the future. You got to remember, we're not just building for this year, we're building for future years. And let's say DJ Johnson really isn't ready. Let's say YGM ain't that dude. Let's say there's some lulls in anything. Nothing's wrong with having depth. There's nothing wrong with being able to say we have player A, B, and C. Let's see, okay, well, YGM, you're not strong here. We're going to put Houston here. Maybe we ought to just put your hand into the dirt. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I feel that Carolina is at least addressing weaknesses. And we can't necessarily say that we addressed weaknesses in the past, at least to this magnitude. So I am thoroughly excited, and I'm just going to keep screaming, keep pounding to the top of my lungs.
Amen.
I love you guys. Yeah. Let's get ready for Saturday, and let's keep pounding, baby.
Keep pounding. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the call, as always, man. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, I was just saying I like that mindset. That's kind of where I'm getting. I feel like every year you have that lull moment where you just don't know what's going on with the Panthers, and like right now I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and I'm getting so enthralled with preseason's here. That means very soon regular season's here. That means very soon I get to spend my Sundays watching football and hanging out with you guys.
So does that mean, Greg, that the wet blanket is starting to dry out?
A little bit, yes.
Hey, all right.
Until it has reason to get wet again, and it can only get wet with tears. Hopefully, it will not be soaked with tears this year. We'll see.
Yeah, let's hope not. Yeah, let's hope not. Let's take another call. No, this might be the same one, or it's a different one.
What's up, Panther family? This is D from Sanford. One more time, because I just got a question for the C3 family, and I forgot it last time.
Yeah,
are we happy with Chuba Hubbard? Black Shear.
Good.
Should we be looking for number 2? And no, I'm not saying Zeke or nothing like that. But should we be looking for a number 2 running back? Is Chuba suffice? That's all I got, fellas. Love y'all. Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate you, G. Hey, listen, what I've seen so far of Chuba Hubbard is he has put on even more muscle.
Yep.
They have continued to throw him the ball as well as run the ball with him. And he has apparently looked very good. Now, again, this training camp, there was no pads, but he is listed as our running back number 2 right now. And I'm going to be real, man. I have been one of Chuba's biggest defenders. It's very popular for Panther fans to hate on Chuba Hubbard. I refuse to be one of them. I like Chuba, and I do think that he's going to do some big things this year. And I think that he's made some strides in the offseason. I'm excited to see what Chuba can do, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent about Chuba. I love Chuba as a name. For some reason, all I can remember about Chuba is good plays. I don't remember bad stuff. So I mean, I'm excited to see what Chuba can do.
I was about to say, you don't remember those drops he had?
I don't.
He was considered.
No, I don't.
He's considered to have stone hands, dude.
Okay.
Well, put it this way: lots of Panther fans remember very well, and they have a hard time forgetting.
Yeah.
So maybe it's better that you don't remember. Go ahead, Pickle.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Foster. I know some of y'all don't know Deshaun Foster, but Deshaun Foster had a lot of drops early in his career. He still did till he ended, but he was a decent running back. I think I like our running backs overall. I did a little mock 53-man roster with my Twitter Spaces crew Thursday, and I kept 3 running backs, and it was Chuba and Black Shear, and if sometime during a game or the season we need an extra running back, I feel LaVista Chenault's better than half the running backs in free agency. And if we have depth at wide receiver, he can easily fit a running back role. So I'm not really worried about the running backs at all. Not a little bit.
CK?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the running back room. I think we saw that
having a stud is always nice, but Miles Sanders can be that stud. And if we need the relief, we saw what relief can do last year when you have a good offensive line and a good running game plan. I don't have any worries.
Yeah. Sam, I don't have any worries. And like I said, I've been a fan of Chuba. I mean, I'm not one of these people that like dumps on our young players the moment that they have a couple bad plays and they've had terrible coaches. And we've all talked about Tommy Tremble and what he said about, the teaching under Matt Rule. And you just have to assume that goes across the board, with all these different players and positions. So, yeah, I am not ready to give up on Chuba. I know Greg wants to be a part of this next one. So let's just jump into another call, shall we?
Hey, guys. It's the growl that makes them howl, a.k.a. Joey the Blind Panther. You guys, I cannot contain my excitement. Panthers football is finally upon us, and we have gone through the cancer treatment after last year. I never thought I would witness this day, because I damn sure won't see it. But I never thought I would even witness this day. I mean, it's just, ever since the draft, it's just been game on. It's just been like, what can they do now to get me more excited? And they keep answering the question and answering the question. And I feel like I'm about to blindly jump out of my skin with optimism. It's just
no
like,
pun intended.
It's upon us. Panthers football is upon us for the year, and finally
Let's
winning
go.
is upon this organization. Like, even I could see it. And then you have your number one pick who if he wasn't such a genius, with his size, he'd probably be undrafted. If he had the average level of intelligence to most quarterbacks, he probably wouldn't get drafted. But this guy is such a genius. This guy has it all between the ears. And this guy, Bryce baby, the Bryce is right. I'm calling it now. Tonight is the night. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys. Wow.
Yep.
Hey, that's that growl that we love. The growl that makes them howl, baby. Go ahead,
Can I
CJ.
tell you what it is about about Bryce that has really, really turned me on? Is
what?
Oh,
yeah, I'll say it. I love seeing him passing where he's throwing the ball on a post route before the receiver even makes his break, and he's hitting the receiver in perfect stride. That's what I love seeing about Bryce Young, and I love Cam Newton. I love Cam Newton so much, but that's what I didn't have with Cam. Cam didn't throw receivers open. Bryce Young knows exactly where to put the ball, at least in training camp, exactly where to put the ball where the receiver is going to be before he even thinks about going there. And I love that.
If I may add, Joey. If G Baby's told you once, he's told you 1,000 times. It's Bryce the Truth Young.
Yeah, there we
That's
go.
what it is. The Truth Young.
He is the truth. He is indeed the truth, man.
Yep.
Installing the protections, giving presentations on said protections. Like, my man is a veteran out here, y'all. My man does this.
There's a player today talked about him doing the presentations, and I can't remember who it is.
Yeah. But hey, let's jump into this next part.
Mm-hmm.
This is that part where we shame the media for just being so incredibly dumb and stupid. Bleacher Report puts out their predictions for the NFC South. They have the Saints at number 1 at 9-8. They have the Bucks and the Falcons at 7-10. And the Panthers at 5-12. This is the part where Tony would play, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Because it is, man. It is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What the hell are we talking about?
Oh, man.
How fast people forget that the Panthers traded up to number 1. All right. We were not the worst team in football last year, right? That was the Bears. They earned that number 1 pick. We decided that we wanted the number 1 pick. This is not a typical scenario of the best quarterback in the draft going to the worst team in the NFL. It is not that. Why are people sleeping on us so hard, boys? Is it just because we're the Panthers, or is there some type of P-branded rationale to this? Help me understand, because I have no idea.
There's P-brain rationale to it, that's for sure. And I think you touched base on it. I think that people saw us get the number 1 overall pick, and that just makes them immediately think that we were the worst team in the NFL, even though we weren't. Here's the thing that I find interesting is our team, outside of Christian McCaffrey not being here, our team got better, right? Like when you look at all the pieces that we've added, the coaching staff to now having a true person at number 1 in the QB position. And I mean true, meaning like not somebody who possibly is trying to prove himself and who's had ups and downs and all that stuff, right? This is the first time we've had a guy who's earned the number 1 overall draft pick, and is ready to take on, right? The thing that I find the most odd is not even this one. There's a power ranking on NFL.com as well. And it's got, this is how insane this is, by the way. They have the Saints at 15. Okay, so they think Saints are top 15 team in this league. They believe, and this is again, Eric Edholm is his name. He believes that the Falcons are 17th. All right. What's weird about that is go all the way down. You have the Panthers at 26. And then you go even further down, you have the Buccaneers at 30. Okay. So here's my concern. So the belief here is the Falcons, because they've added all of these pieces, that they should be incredible, right? Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The Buccaneers, you put them down at 30 because you just don't know what their quarterback's able to do, right? They have Pro Bowl positions at every single area. They have an offensive line. They have some of the best wide receivers in the entire league. Their defenses still continue to remain lights out. Even missing some pieces, sure. But like when you look at comparison between Tampa and Atlanta, you're putting Tampa Bay at 30th because of the question marks around the quarterback, when you literally have no idea what their 3rd round quarterback in Desmond Ridder is going to be able to do in Atlanta, coming off of a really bad season. The Panthers were better than them. The Buccaneers were better than them. Obviously the Saints were better than them. Like, I just do not understand the thought process here to want to put the Falcons that high on this power rankings, and to where like it just even to forget about where we're at. I'm talking about the Bucks being at 30. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah. The whole thing is a crazy level of disrespect. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Pickle.
I just want to say I heard Jonathan Stewart comment on this, and I like the way he put it. It's lazy reporting. People who are too lazy to do their research.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what it is. It's lazy reporting. I'm going to Google this, and I'm going to look at stats from last year, and I'm going to Google and see where they're at this year, and that's all I'm going to do. They don't go to camp. They don't even read the beat reporters' articles. It's not hard to find the beat reporters of the Carolina Panthers, but they don't do that. It's lazy reporting because they're going to collect a check. They've got to put out X amount of articles a month, and that's how they're going to get their articles.
Okay. I got 2 things I want to ask. One, 2 things I want to say. One, real quick, CK, something you mentioned there. When you said the Bucks at 30, are you surprised they're that low, or do you expect them to be a higher team than that?
I'm surprised they're that low.
Okay. I'm on your side with that. I don't think they're that terrible, but I don't think they're a good team. And two, fuck these standings. Fuck these standings.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
These are motherfuckers who don't have any damn idea about what's going on. You cannot possibly tell me that Desmond Ridder, Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield, and Derek Carr are better quarterbacks. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm not saying Bryce Young is like way above them because I'm not trying to crown him, but
he is.
You can't tell me that these guys are better. I've seen these guys. They all fucking suck. Okay, they all suck really bad. Like what? The only narrative I can think they're doing with this is that they're trying to have a story, like a make-believe story season, like some kind of narrative where they can write the Cinderella story, the dark horse coming in, the team you didn't expect. That's the only thing I can expect. Because remember, this is a TV show. It is.
Yep.
I just feel like this kind of stuff right here, you nailed it, Pickle. It's lazy writing.
Yep.
You know?
And, I'll say this, and I told them that. To be honest with you, I don't never go to Bleacher Report. I don't respect their journalisms. I don't respect their customers. I don't respect anything about Bleacher Report. It's an incompetent website run by incompetent people who are only interested, and half their stories are made up. They're breaking news stories or shit that somebody else has covered last week. And they add a spice to it that they heard on fucking Twitter from some dumbass that doesn't even watch sports.
Preach.
So they're just an incompetent bunch. And like you said, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, weren't we one? Like, if we'd have beat the Bucks last year, we'd have made the playoffs, right?
Yep.
We were one game away from making the playoffs last year, y'all, and they're putting us at the bottom of this league, and we improved more than any of these teams by far.
Right. If you
Let's
are
go.
a competent
I'm ready for the season.
Panther
Let's go.
fan,
Yeah,
if you are a competent Panther fan, if you're a competent NFC South fan, you're not going to Bleacher Report. Don't tell me you're a football fan because you learned what you learned off Bleacher Report. I'm going to call you an idiot.
Oh, you froze right as you said what you were going to say, Pickle. Oh, man. No, but listen, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they are. I mean, all right, listen, to play devil's advocate here just a little. And everybody knows, I think these media outlets are bullshit. And, that goes without saying. But, the fact that we have a brand new coaching staff, we have a brand new quarterback, and historically the Panthers, we've been underachievers. Guys, let's just be real about it. The past few years, we have not been a team that's very worthy of respect. Sure. So there's one part of me that is very used to this type of slander. Yeah, this is what they do. The media at large does this shit to us all the time. But I love this. You know what? I want more of this. I want you to disrespect us even fucking more. Yeah. Even more. They call this bulletin board material. You think that we're not going to be able to show shit like this to our players and be like, yo, bro, this is what they think of y'all. They think y'all ain't shit. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go out there and whip ass and take names? Or are you going to let them be correct in their assumptions about you? I love it, man. I love it. I love the motivation. I love the fuel. I'm not even mad at them. I want them to sleep on us because it's going to feel all the better when we come out and we shit all over them. Straight up.
They'll know by about week 4 or 5. We're not to be fucked with. So.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to see no reports from Bleacher Report about how overrated the Panthers are.
You will, because they put this out right here. You will. Until they get to like 10 wins,
right?
You'll hear this. You'll hear them Panthers being overrated.
You know what the Bleacher Report can do, don't you?
Yeah.
They can shut the hell up.
Yeah, they can. You tell them, Pickle. They can surely shut the hell up. Yeah, man. So look, before we'll probably just continue out some of these cat calls. But by the way, well, actually, no. Before we do that, this is just some quick notes. And if y'all want to talk about any one of these, y'all let me know. David Newton says it feels like Panthers tight end Hayden Hurst has replaced Adam Thielen as Bryce Young's favorite target. He opens up in team drills with consecutive throws to Hurst. Young finished 3 for 4 with a drop and a sack. But I've continued to hear this that that Hayden Hurst continues to be a real weapon. And I've always heard that for a rookie quarterback, a tight end is a quarterback's best friend. Yeah. Remember back in 2011 when it was Greg Olsen and Jeremy Shockey out there. So this is not surprising to me. Shout out to Ginger Thor, as White Chocolate has affectionately dubbed him. I'm loving that. Go ahead, Pick.
Frank Wright was on WFNZ this morning, and he said that he was asked by Mac McClain about whether Hurst was the number 1 receiver. And he said, actually, in our offense, there's a number 1 receiver on every play. And it's not just that there's your first look and your second look. He said, we purposely have plays designed for each receiver and what their strengths are and what they do best. And he said a lot of it is going to be based on what we see when we look at the offense. If we think that Hayden can get a better catch or secure catch or more yards because he's against a guy who doesn't cover well, we're going to Hayden Hurst. If we have a slot receiver and he's lined up against a strong safety because of busted coverage, we're going to him. He said it just depends on what we see, and a lot of it's going to depend on who Bryce feels comfortable throwing to.
Hey, I love the idea of Hayden Hurst. I love the idea of him being a big part of our offense because I think that every elite team you see, every team that's won multiple Super Bowls or has created a dynasty, has always had a great tight end. I mean, just try me on that. I think that we should not, even though I love the name Ginger Thor because I'm a ginger and I love Thor. I think we should call him the Shredder because that motherfucker is shredded. Like,
yes,
Cody, me and you saw him at training camp.
To your attention, my man is.
Yeah,
my man looks like he's trying to win the Arnold Invitational.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, like this dude looks like he's fucking chiseled out of stone, and I'm like, holy shit!
He does.
Like, I would not want to go against this guy just on looks alone. I'd be like, nope, I ain't fucking with that. So I think we should call him the Shredder. I like
Let's
that.
do it.
I'm into it, man. The Shredder. When I'm a '90s kid, so when I hear Shredder, I instantly think of Master Shredder and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
He don't look nothing like that rat though.
Yeah.
He don't look nothing like that.
That was Splinter. That was Master Splinter. That was
Shredder was the bad guy.
Okay,
yeah.
The badass helmet.
Well, see, I'm an '80s kid. What can I tell you?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Actually, I'm never.
They said that the new movie is the new movie is really good too.
I cannot wait to see that in the movie. Somebody in the chat, I can't remember who it was earlier, so they just got back from the movie, and I want to know what it's like because that movie looks fucking amazing. I cannot wait to see that movie.
Yeah, I'm and dude, they're actually teenagers in the movie, which is like the whole point of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I like that. Let's plow forward. Yeah, we're almost at 12, so maybe Tony isn't the reason why we go so long every night. All right. I know, right? Deion Jones locked in, playing fast, making nice plays in the pass game. We'd love to see this. We just signed Deion Jones, and he's already moving fast, flying around, doing a fantastic job. Love that. And then how about this for a little bit of hope, right? I mentioned Chuba Hubbard, how not a lot of people are fans of Chuba. They've already given up on him. Well, more so than him is C.J. Henderson. But everybody loves to hate on C.J. Henderson. That's right, Q. I see you in the chat room, bro. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a lot of different people that are giving up on CJ. However, the reports are, and again, I know it's training camp, but CJ Henderson picked off Bryce Young, and he's continued to look well. Do you think that maybe there's a possibility that CJ Henderson can kind of rejuvenate the rest of his career here in Carolina?
It's possible, and I say that
Yeah.
very lightly. But I have to say, I figured it up the other week because I didn't have nothing else to do, so I did it the best that I could. C.J. Henderson probably leads the Panthers on picks in training camp. There's absolutely no doubt of that. And granted, I have to say, he's early in camp, he was the number one corner because the other two were hurt or out. But so he's played a lot, but he's played a lot, but so far he's led the team in picks. Now, a lot of it's going to be a lot of it is stuff he's seen on 100 times already in camp. So maybe it'll be interesting to see him in preseason games. How's that? It'll be interesting to see what he does in preseason games.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. It's like, how about this? I'll put it this way. I'm not going to hold my breath. All right. It's like when Greg and other people say they want to take the, hey, I need to see you prove something first. Okay. I mean, hey, I remember CJ Henderson balling out in practice last year. Had a bunch of good interceptions. But, homie, I need you to do it during the game, man. Like, they did not pick up your fifth-year option. They are letting you know what they think about you. And, Greg, what you said about Terrace Marshall Jr. earlier, I actually believe about CJ Henderson. Like, they have no long-term connection to him. So this year is going to be very important for him to really show himself to be an asset to this team.
Well, you know what's going to piss me off is if he does ball out this year and we don't keep him, and then he goes to the team and signs a big deal and craps out like he has the entire rest of his career. It's like, dude, come on, seriously, you're living your career off of a great college season and one good year in the pros, and you're going to be a millionaire. Come on, man. Like, I can't stand that kind of stuff. But that's the way. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way it works.
That is indeed the way the cookie crumbles.
What will upset me is if he becomes a stud, becomes a secure starter, does great, we're going to have to hear Matt Rule say, "I told you so."
No, not off one player.
Oh, yeah. Matt Rule's just that stupid.
He's going to say at the end of the day, I was right. But he's not. Matt Rule's never right.
No, he's not.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. All right, well, CK, any thoughts on CJ Henderson before we finish out these cat calls?
Best case scenario, he works out this year. Worst case scenario, we maintain the status quo for him. CJ Henderson is I want to root for him to be a good cornerback, but as of now, he's just the farthest thing from what I would find interesting on this defense right this second.
Yeah,
he's definitely the focal point or the weak point when we have him in that they're going to go for. I guarantee you, when he's in, he's going to be the target.
Yep. He'd have to be so good he makes the Pro Bowl before I'd offer him a contract. I mean, he's going to have to be an elite top 3 wide corner and make the Pro Bowl before.
He's going to do what Josh Norman did: suck for the first 3 or 4 years of his career, have one really good year, get signed, and then play decent for a year or two, and suck the rest of your career. That's great. That's Josh Norman right there.
J-No, man.
That's Josh Norman right
this
there.
J-No, bro. Be nice.
I know.
No, but you're right.
He still wasn't the best corner.
He was phenomenal the year that he was with us.
Oh, dude, he
was phenomenal. Yeah.
How about in 2015? He was the best shutdown corner in the NFL.
Agreed. I'll give him that. He was Really
it may have
great
been
that
just for that year, but the homeboy fucking went ape shit. You know, like he was balling out of control. I don't want to take that away from him.
No.
But yeah. Hey, by the way, if you're enjoying the C3 Panthers podcast, well, hey, we have good news for you, man. Go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and pick you up some merch, man. We got the C3 Panthers podcast. This is my favorite shirt that we've ever put out because it lets everybody boldly and proudly rep the C3 Nation, their favorite Panthers pod. We want all of y'all to feel like you are the C3 Panthers podcast. Your opinion is valued here. We appreciate y'all. Hey, how about them classy mugs with the C3 logo on them? Yeah, put that up, Greg. Let me put you up on full. Ooh, take a sip of that C3 scissor. Oh, shit.
Make sure you order the 15-ounce mug. You get more coffee in that.
Yeah, man.
Or
hey,
whatever liquid you choose to put in there.
You're right.
We even have some special t-shirts. G Baby has his own shirt. You make me fucking sick.
We need to slap a C3 logo on there, a small one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we do. We do. And we're gonna make them better. And yes, there is a Panther Pickle shirt coming down the pipeline. We're just shut the hell up. So be on the lookout for that.
Real quick on that shirt you showed the first, I want to explain to folks something. Sometimes you get a shirt that's printed and the print feels heavy, okay, because it's cheaply made. I had this wore it Saturday at Back Together Saturday. It's not heavy. It doesn't feel heavy. It feels really good on a shirt. A lot of your printed shirts you'll feel heavy if you get them at the flea market or you get them wherever you get cheap shirts. This is not a cheaply made shirt, folks. This is a quality made shirt, but you get it at a great cheap price. So you can't go wrong when you order something from Carolina Cat Chronicle.
Not at all. And I'm trying to find the pictures of
You are only wrong.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
order
Kev
your
sent those
merch
model
from
pictures
any
for
else
us.
but us.
No, I do love this shirt, man. Like I'm partial to the black, but I'm also partial to black uniforms. I'd rather see those.
Here you go, Kev. Don't say I ain't never did
Yeah.
nothing for you, man. That's the boy White Chocolate. Modeling the C3 Panthers podcast shirt. I love these shirts, man. Dude, I love that people feel like they can represent C3 Nation, man.
Cody, if I'm not mistaken, we actually saw one of these at FanFest, right?
Yeah. My man Kyle, shout out to 910 Panther fan, doing it big. Hey, man, we love it, man. We love seeing C3 out in the wild, bro. Absolutely loving it. We appreciate everybody. That is CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Go to the shop, and we appreciate your patronage, man. Any way that you can help out C3, man, it's appreciated every single time. I believe we played this one. This is Joey, right? Are y'all not hearing that? Hold up.
The ground that makes them howl.
Yeah, that was Joey. All right.
Yo, this is White Chocolate Espresso. Let me give you some
Speak of the devil.
Going in this training camp and into this.
Give me CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I've been saying it. Josh Bannon is going to make this team. I hope Bird's all right. I hope he gets healthy and everything. But Josh Bannon has an opportunity right here to take it. He burned Von Bell in practice when I saw it. The deep pass, I loved it. As far as the edge goes, I love the signing. I still think we need to sign another. Bring on Clowney as his backup. Bring on Ingram as his backup. I don't care.
Wow.
Anybody but YGL as his backup. I don't trust anybody else on this team to set the edge or do anything on the edge. Bring him in. Have him go against YGM and all the youngsters. If they can't beat out the veteran, fuck them. This is the pros. This ain't college.
I love Kevin.
That's all I got. Peace.
All right, he wants to sign another edge rusher. Are y'all fine with Justin Houston and the young guys, the unprovens, or you want another one? You want a double dip?
The Ravens are bringing in Clowney tomorrow for a little
Oh,
season.
really?
Yeah, I'm fine where we're at. I don't think
I
that
like
we
that.
need
I
to bring.
don't.
Yeah, YGM needs to have a chance to prove it. If you bring somebody else in, then you're basically just cutting him out of the deal. I feel like you've got to. So I want to see what he can do, and then we'll decide where he's going next year. But I think we're good where we're at.
Yeah, I do too. Shrug from CK over there. All right, let's. I believe this is Kyle who had the shirt on at FanFest.
It's me, C-Dog 1983 TV.
Oh, it's C-Dog. See?
And before I get started, whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this great content. The C3 Podcast is the longest running Panther podcast out here. And they been doing shows on every Tuesday, and they got the free for all on every Friday. When the season starts, they have the game simulation and everything. So make sure, you just hit the like button, subscribe, man. Everything. Start being a weirdo and subscribe to the great fucking content. Subscriber shame. You know what I'm saying? I love that shit. I fucking love it. Real quick though, man, just as you said, signing, I'm just gonna wait and see. Me like 33, 34 years old. That's how much you got left in the tank. I mean, pretty much is a one-trick pony at this point in his career and everything. So we'll see. And man, for us, man, receivers and everything. The depth chart is just looking. I don't know. I can't really take the depth chart serious right now and everything. But I am very interested to see what we're going to do against the Jets in this preseason game. See what Bryce is going to do real. I don't know. We feel like we really ain't going to see the real deal if we got down regular season, man. But still, if they put some heat on. But at the same time, it's kind of weird that they said he wasn't going to play no preseason. But now, Frank White doubled back and changing what he said from the beginning. Now he's talking about he is going to play and everything. My question is, why did he change his mind and everything? From saying he wasn't going to play to now saying he is going to play and everything. So I don't know, man. We're going to see. We're going to see, man. As far as the offense, though, man, I still feel like we don't have a number one receiver. We just have a bunch of guys, a bunch of Jags, have our receiver, just another guy, And Brian Burns holding out the way to see goddamn Nick Bosa get paid is fucking ridiculous. Like, nigga, you are nowhere near fucking Nick Bosa. Like, just sit bitch ass down. Like, come on, man. What the hell, what are we talking about here? That shit crazy too. So, I don't know, man. We're gonna see. But, when you're in here, man, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this great content. You know what I'm saying? C3 Podcast. This is T-Dog 1983 TV. I'm out. I hope everybody have a great day and a great week. Good night.
Keep pounding, C.
Keep
pounding. And we appreciate you, brother. Listen, I'll say this. I don't think that they ever came out and said that Bryce wouldn't play in the preseason. They just said that we would be seeing a lot of Matt Corral.
Right.
So I don't necessarily know that this is the Panthers going back on their word not to play Bryce. But I don't know. For the most part, it seems like the fans want to see him. Maybe that's just because they're excited to see their future quarterback actually go out there and look decent and look good. I understand that too. But yeah, I don't know. There's also that mindset that you just should never play your starters in the preseason. And that might make them a little bit rustier by the time the season starts. So there's pluses and minuses to both of it. But you're missing the injuries if that were to happen. I don't know. Personally, I'm here for it, man. I want to see Bryce on at least one drive, then let Matty Boyd take the rest and try and prove himself. Maybe get some kind of value out of him. Yep.
And hope his left tackle and right tackle don't get him killed.
Yeah, I hope that he doesn't get absolutely
Hope
destroyed.
nobody steps on his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe this is our last call.
So yes, I picked up an Uber in Miami Gardens at the Dolphin Stadium.
Nope, heard that.
No.
Yes, this is Al again. I think TMJ just needs a shot. He's gonna be straight. The reason he doesn't gotten like, okay, they just put him right there at first because that's not the people that drafted him. Matt Rule didn't use him. He has no film. They had no film on him. So TMJ is going to be straight. I mean, I've seen him out there making catches. He looks good. He looks big, like you said, strong and physical, fast. He's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. We just got to get the man time. We just got to give him time. All right, guys. I got an Uber again. Let's go.
Hey, can I ask a question about? I don't know what this would be considered. Human psychology, I guess. Why is it that when a player does really well in college, but not so great in the pros for 2-3 years, we still have hope? But when a player you draft as a nobody has one great year in the pros, we don't put the same hope in him. Like, what is the mindset behind that? Does that make sense? Like, why do we give guys who did really well in college against not as good competition with probably a better team, like a top level team, 3-4 years to work things out? But when a guy comes out of college as a 5th round draft pick and does really well 1 year, we don't believe in him until he can reproduce it. You know what I mean?
To me, it's just like the context behind what player you're talking about. Like,
I think it's a need to want to be right. To be honest with you, I think that's truly what it is. It's a deep down desire to want to be right. We expected this guy to be good, so we're going to give him a longer leash because we expected him to be good.
Right.
Yeah. Well, or you see a player like a raw piece of clay that has the talent, but might not have necessarily received the proper coaching. And then you're like, okay, well, let's see if we can get this talent out of that player before we just throw out the baby with the bathwater. Whereas your 5th or 6th round pick, yeah, maybe they performed okay, but you weren't necessarily expecting much from them anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would like to believe that if you earn your spot, that you're not going to have a player that was picked higher than you make the team just because he was picked higher than you. And, if he's playing worse than you at the same position in every conceivable metric, then, yeah, you would hope that the best player would be the one to make the team. But I also know there's a lot of politicking and bullshit that goes into it, and coaches play favorites. And, yeah, I have no doubt.
A lot of it, I think,
it just seems weird. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I think some of it's the player's attitude itself. 1 year they've got a great attitude. The next year one aspect changes, and all of a sudden they have a different attitude. So,
yeah.
Well, okay. So here's a good example. Like Jonathan Mingo, we drafted in the 2nd round, right? When we draft TMJ,
2nd round.
Second
round. Okay. So are we going to give Jonathan Mingo the same leash that we gave TMJ?
Yes.
Gave TMJ. Okay. I mean, I know I will because it's what we're doing, but I'm just asking, like, in a year from now, if Jonathan Mingo doesn't end up being like our number 1 guy, are we going to have people on here saying he's a bust?
Well, it depends upon a couple of different factors, right? You also have to take into account the scenario with TMJ.
True.
He was going through a regime that didn't play him. In Matt Rule era, we didn't have a quarterback that was going to cater to his strengths. Ultimately, I think that TMJ has been on the wrong side of the bad luck when it comes to coming to a team that just doesn't have the pieces in place to allow you to thrive.
That's a very good possibility. Yeah.
Mingo, if he comes in here and he doesn't thrive, and we still have a good offensive line, and Bryce Young turns out to be a really good quarterback, and our offensive coordinator is doing a great job of scheming these guys open. If Mingo doesn't succeed in that environment, he's not going to have as long of a lease as TMJ did, because he's got every opportunity to succeed and he's still not doing it.
That's why I can't marry CK. That's why I can't marry CK. He makes too much sense of things. That's why you have logic under your name.
Yeah. Well, that was it for the cat calls. We appreciate everybody. Once again, the number is 252-228-5098. We appreciate everybody that called in. Gentlemen, we actually are starting to move at a pretty good pace now. We only have a couple more segments left to get through, then we can close it out for tonight. Do we have so many bumpers back here? I need to clean this up so I'm not searching through a million different things there it is at the very top. All right, let's jump around the news and see what's been trending around the NFL, shall we, boys?
Let's do it.
All right. So, everybody knows sports and gambling is the way of the future. Everyone's in on it now. And apparently even ESPN is in as well, as ESPN has entered an agreement with Penn Entertainment to launch Bet ESPN, its own branded sports book. And bro, if this doesn't show you how our country is changing and just how much, sports and gambling, it's going to be embedded into every sport. Every stadium is going to have a place where you're going to be able to place bets before the games. Dude, the future is about to be wild when it comes to sports and gambling as more and more states come around to this. Yeah, any thoughts? Anything at all?
There's a lot of people who are concerned about the conflict of interest that might have with them having access to Monday night football games and whatnot. How, again, what access they have to
access
players,
to player information, and,
right?
A lot of conflict of interest, it seems.
So that's the question. But to be fair, I believe that NFL could also probably be considered a conflict of interest with having any partnerships with the gambling company.
Yep.
And so that it's hard to be able to argue that point, but it's a wrench in the gears. Certainly, I think it's in poor taste when you see how many people are just getting suspended for betting on games and whatnot in the NFL. To come out here and say, all right, well, we're also going to add another betting service that is going to be the people that actually are broadcasting these games, and you're gonna have to deal with it, right? I don't know. It's a big nothing burger, but at the same time, I think that there is a question mark around whether this is morally correct.
When they're doing Monday Night Football, they have access to the locker rooms, the coaches. Are they gonna change the line to right before the game? That it does seem like there's a lot of gray area there,
right?
That could.
Well, I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it. We know ESPN's been doing a massive amount of layoffs. Some good people's been laid off. Some high dollar folks have been laid off. And the ESPN did get paid $1.5 billion over the next 10 years for this. I think that's what it's about.
Pickle, that's exactly what it's about. This is very political. I hate to feel like that, but it's very political in the fact of you can't do this because we don't profit from it. But as soon as we do, it's okay for us to do it.
Exactly.
That's exactly what this is. You cannot do this because we're not profiting from it. But as soon as we figure out how to, it's game on. Yeah, we're going to do it. So.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this is just an indication of where things are headed, man. Sports gambling is the future.
Yeah.
And it seems, to to be honest, that was inevitable the moment that the Raiders moved to Vegas. Like, yeah, man. I want to get everyone's opinion on this. We mentioned this on the free for all. Alvin Kamara, we now know what his suspension is, and he will be suspended the first 3 games of the year, meaning he will miss Monday Night Football in week 2 against the Panthers. Doesn't hurt my feelings none.
No.
I'll tell you that. But, yeah, what do we make about Alvin Kamara and his suspension?
The only thing that irritates me about this, well, I guess you could say a couple of things. Number one is now when we beat New Orleans in Monday Night Football week 2, there's just going to be a bunch of excuses as to how we beat them. It's like, oh, we didn't have our best player. That's what it was. Like, no. Yeah, it's that part is going to be frustrating. But the other part of this is, the disparity between this punishment and a punishment of a guy like Calvin Ridley, who missed an entire year because of gambling, and it wasn't even like he was gambling on anything egregious. I just feel like these are this is again, you can argue morality and the game being essentially needing to be the integrity of the game needing to be maintained, right? But when you look at, like, this isn't the thing that happened with Kamara isn't a if he did it, right? It's a we know he did it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's sitting here able to only miss 3 games, and guys out there that have done half of that shit are, better people who would never be, again, I can't say never be caught dead in a situation like that. But Alvin Kamara was at a Pro Bowl thing. He was he's a millionaire, right? Because he does so. He had earned his contract by that point. And the dude's out here still acting like that. I don't think you reward that by only doing a 3-game suspension. Mm-hmm. But I'm biased, so
yeah, I agree. As a Tennessee fan, and he went to Tennessee. As a Tennessee fan, it should have been a lot longer. It really did. Should, and not just because he's a Saint and I cheer for the Panthers. It should have been a lot longer because, him and his buddy went to basically a bar and beat the bejesus out of a guy, and they're going to give him 3 games. Whippy freaking do. For reality, how
we'd be in jail.
We would. We would
be in jail right now.
Let me ask you something. If it wasn't Alvin Kamara, if it was Rasheem Blackshear, would he get 3 games? It wouldn't matter. He'd be cut.
Well, you know what happened. Look, he settled out in court. Because he's got the money. He was like, "Hey, man, let me make this go away." And he cut a check, man. This is the playbook.
And Greg Hardy was suspended for a lot more than 3 games.
For a whole year.
And let's just call it. I'm gonna call it what it is. This has to do with he's a Saint player, and the lady that owns the Saints is best friends with Roger Goodell. That's what it's about.
Well, I'll agree with you that it has some fishy stuff to it, and I agree with you and CK that this is an absolute bullshit charge for what he had. Okay, but I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on real quick, and I'm gonna say, TV show, narrative, and you saw how they predicted the season to go for all the teams. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. And you only suspend Alvin Kamara 3 games. That's all I'm gonna say. So.
We need more tinfoil hats in our chat.
We should just know what we should do. We should all have our own tinfoil hat on our desk, and anytime there's a tinfoil hat, we should all just have to put it on.
Yeah, tinfoil hat. Have a bumper for it. Yeah, have a bumper everybody can hit. Be like, hold on, like throwing a flag. Yeah, I like that.
We could call it Greg's Conspiracy Corner.
I'm gonna make me a tinfoil hat now.
Yeah, hey, you might need it. You might need it for protection.
And that's very outlandish. What I'm saying, that is an extreme stretch. But I mean,
if it's true,
come on, yeah.
I mean,
like it's not impossible. And like I said, there's a reason why Patrick Mahomes and Brett Favre were in all the commercials together the year they wanted them to go to the Super Bowl, and Brett Favre just couldn't cut the mustard. I mean, there's plenty of reasons. You see every year who the NFL pushes as the players they want, the teams they want to be in the finals, in the playoffs.
Jets are going. The Jets will go deep into the playoffs this year.
100%. Because it doesn't matter how good they play; they will make the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs.
Not because how talented they are, because Aaron Rodgers moved there.
I agree,
and it's the new narrative.
Yep.
Peyton Manning had to have his ring before he retired.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, at least it's not going to be there when the Panthers play him, so makes me feel a little bit better. Oh, and how about this? This is news that happened, right? So everybody knows right now Kareem Hunt is a free agent. He had a visit with the New Orleans Saints, and apparently this visit was a great visit. He had a great visit with the New Orleans Saints, but while Kareem Hunt was in Indy, he got called before he even stepped foot on the field to work out for the Saints and was offered more money by the Indianapolis Colts. He was advised to leave and head to Indy with the Colts for a visit. Now, everybody knows there's a lot of issues with Jonathan Taylor right now. He's holding out for more money. But what do you think of Kareem Hunt to the Saints potentially? And the Colts trying to swoop in and steal their dinner?
I'll tell you my thoughts on this. I think it means that Jonathan Taylor is up for grabs. Because I don't think Kareem Hunt's going to sign with him and to be another backup running back. Like, he's been behind Chubb for 5 years at this point in time. I think this dude wants to come out here, and I think he wants to be the starter. I don't think he wants to be. I think he wants to be the bell cow, and he wants to be able to show that he's able to be a starter in this league. I don't think he's going to be willing to sit behind Jonathan Taylor. So if they tell him, like, listen, we're listening to offers from Jonathan Taylor. I also think that this could be a scenario where the Colts are just giving a big FU to Jonathan Taylor, because all reports coming out of Indy are that he has been distant from everybody. He's been a bit of an asshole to everybody, not just because of the trade, just like the people, his teammates, the people who work for the team, right? So I could see them signing Kareem Hunt, giving him a long-term deal with a lot of money, and just basically flipping off Jonathan Taylor and saying good day.
Yeah. If he would go to the Saints, he's only going to be there till Kamara gets back.
Right, exactly. He knows he's going to be behind him.
Yeah, and the guy that played real good for the Detroit last year is also in New Orleans, so he'd be splitting carries. I don't really like the Saints. I hope they just have bad luck all the way around. But to me, if Kareem Hunt leaves in the middle of the visit to the Saints to go to the Colts for more money, that just shows to me that he has low moral character. Maybe it's old fashioned, but to me, that's what it is. Maybe. You know, you should at least finish your visit, shake your hands, say, I'm going to look out. I'm going to keep my options open and then go.
I don't think
skip town and leave.
I could be wrong, but I feel like that the statement wasn't to just leave the meeting in the middle of it. I think it was to say, don't sign anything. You need to go to Indy before you do anything. I think that a lot of the reports coming out of there are just being misread, or maybe that even maybe they're misinterpreting things or not doing things correctly in the way that they're getting that information out. But I there's not a single player on the planet that's going to show up to New Orleans to go out on the field and work and then just leave and say deuces. Because what if India gets him and they don't end up offering him the contract, and now he's not you don't burn that bridge just to do that. But I mean, I agree with you. If he did that, then that's a really shitty thing.
Yep. And the final bit of news that we have for tonight, not a shocker to me, I'll tell you that. Malik Willis is number 2 on the depth chart to Will Levis's number 3. Was not a fan of Will Levis coming through the draft. Big arm, mobile, but just a lot fundamentally wrong with him. Everybody wanted to give up on Malik Willis, and yet Malik Willis is starting to actually, show some promise. So, surprising to anyone?
No.
Can we not all laugh for a moment that we're arguing about who is 2 and 3 behind Ryan Tannehill?
That is pretty,
I mean, can we
funny.
be real for a second? Cool, we're arguing about who's 2 and 3 behind Tannehill.
As a guy who lives in Tennessee, watches the local news, talks to hardcore Titans fans, the real story is who is 3 and 4, because they both suck. One is worse than the other. The other's is worse than the other. The only reason why Willis has got 2 and Levis has got 3 is because Willis was here a year longer.
That's probably true.
That's what it is. And he's been here a year longer, and he did try to improve himself a little bit, and Mike Vrabel saw that, so he gets to go. But
Pickle, I thought you were going to try to make the argument that Tannehill is not a bad quarterback, and because you were going to talk about his the season they went the AFC Championship game a few years ago, and I was just going to be like, no, the only reason they went the AFC Championship game was because Derrick Henry was destroying the league, wrecking the league that year.
And the sad part is the GM for the Titans still wants to trade Derrick Henry. So imagine they trade Derrick Henry. How far will their season fall?
Oh, boy.
I still claimed it. I'll claim Mike Vrabel will not be the coach of the Titans next year.
Okay.
Are you aware that during preseason he's given? It's been suggested he was told to do this. That he's given his head coach play calling and responsibilities during preseason games to an assistant. Only in preseason games. Yes. It's being suggested.
Well,
by
if it's
fans.
Just preseason games.
Yeah, it's just
preseason,
preseason, but it's been suggested by Titan fans that he was made to do that by the GM. Because the GM
forced
was
grooming.
hired. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's
I guess
not
all
weird
grooming
at
is
all.
forced, but
Yeah, true, right? But all right, man, listen, that is it for the show tonight. Now there's only one segment for your boys left to do. Hey, I think we did a pretty damn good job, minus Tony. We've done this before, But hey, shout out to Uncle Tone, brother Tony. Hope he's having a great time living it up over there in Island Paradise, man. We miss you, brother. But it is time for the longest running Panthers segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. Pickle, I don't know if you prepared one, but we got to do it. It's time to ice some fools up, toughen up, ice up. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Boys, you already know what we do.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
All right. Do any of you have an ice up that you would like to go first, that you would like to jump out with? Whoever wants to go first, jump on it. If you have anything.
Go ahead,
I was
Greg.
gonna say I never have one. Like I've been off social media for a few weeks now, and it's been phenomenal. It's been fantastic. So it's a lot easier to not find ice up picks. I do have one tonight. 2 ice up picks to the same person for 2 different reasons. And I'm gonna go ahead and ice up G Baby.
Oh,
So we have our Panthers Dynasty League that we're drafting in, and G Baby, him and I talk a lot of trash back and forth. And I'll just go ahead and say right now, like I love G Baby. Like him and I get along. We have a good time going back and forth. He can give it, I can give it, and neither one of us really, or at least I don't get super offended. I think we have a good time talking. But he talked a lot of trash last Friday about me, and then Like I got on the Friday free for all at the beginning because I expected him to be there, and I stated, y'all were there. I stated when I got on there, I was like, I'm gonna be on for like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, right? So he decides to come on like almost immediately after I announced, hey y'all, I'm about to get off, and proceed to talk shit about me, right? Which, okay, it's cool. I'm down for talking shit in the league, but that's a little below the belt right there. That's some Bush League shit. So I'm icing him up for that. Okay, but it's no big deal. I'm not worried about it. We'll talk shit. I'm gonna beat your ass week 9 in the fantasy league. We'll see what happens. But the other thing I've got to ice him up for is in the chat the other day. He mentioned that Batman is a bitch and that Batman would get beat by anybody in the DC. And
This really
I'm just
pissed
like,
you off, huh?
yeah, I'm just like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. There's a reason why Batman is the leader of the Justice League and not Superman. Every time Superman and Batman have fought, Batman has won. He's the greatest detective in the world. He's a ninja, and he's a fucking billionaire. He's the guy who killed Darkseid. Like, and by the way, for those of y'all who don't say use a gun, he killed him with a bullet. So, just like, don't try to challenge. Like, you can challenge me with football knowledge, because I think you have great football knowledge and we can have great back and forth debate. I don't think you're right about everything, but there are things you're right about. Don't try me on comic book knowledge, man. Don't come after Batman. It's not happening. Batman and Spider-Man, for a reason, are the #1 selling and best superheroes to ever exist or be made. And you can't come at me at Batman, man. Like I'm just saying. So G baby, ice the fuck up.
Oh, G baby,
Yep.
got iced up. Damn.
Well, listen, he was there for a while. He was a common ice up pick for many of us.
I love G baby. It's just he's got ice up sometimes.
So mine is just going to be. So I'm obviously everybody here probably dealt with the storms that came through. I guess 2 days ago, yesterday actually. I'm sorry. It was supposed to be major storms. Like they were telling me like it was like we were when every map said we were going to get the brunt of everything possible. And so I'm out here just like listening to, because it's everywhere. Everybody's telling me this. I'm going and I'm like, I went and got some fasteners and I bolted my gazebo to my deck. I made sure I had everything tied down. I was like, I was more prepared than I usually am about anything. And this damn storm, it didn't even rain for me. I know people got some stuff. Don't get me wrong. I am fully aware. But when I'm telling you, like there was this line coming across, like it was coming this way, and it just parted and just went by. Like it was like, honestly, it was a miracle. But like I'm sitting here wondering, like, what in the world? I'm sitting here, and my other thought is because we're surrounded by these mountains, and they always say these mountains protect us from a lot of this severe weather. And I just don't understand how they don't account for the mountains in their prediction of what the weather is going to look
forecast,
like.
Yeah.
And so again, I know it was a serious storm, but to the weathermen here locally who told me that I was going to have pretty much to bury people that I loved, then I'm going to say ice up to you guys.
Wow, dude, ice up. Dude, anything involving weather is so terrifying. I don't know how many of you have ever, how many times you've ever been in super duper bad weather. Like, dude, it gets terrifying, man. It gets wild, man, especially if you live some of the places I've lived, man. It's not fun.
It certainly feels like it's getting worse, but
yeah. Pickle, you have one you wanna do?
Yeah, I will. A lot of people may not know this, but me and Diesel Skills get on Twitter Spaces twice a week. We
Check
enjoy
them out, y'all.
And but we often start a show, have to delete it, start another one. The other day, poor old Diesel Skills did it 3 times. I did it twice before we got one working, because Elon Musk doesn't want to put money in Twitter Spaces, but yet he doesn't want to develop it properly, but yet he wants to propagate it. And I've chatted with 2 people who do it quite regularly. One of them's a Panther beat reporter. She does it quite regularly, and she informed me that if you're a blue check mark, you don't have any trouble on Twitter Spaces.
Oh.
And you know what, Elon Musk, ice the fuck up, bitch. If you can't put something out right, pull the bitch off and say only for blue customers only.
Fair point.
Because it goes for work when you try, because when you pull it up, you know, you can't. You pulled it up.
CK is so mad right now.
You have to have a check mark, or you have, like, I have to prove everybody once in a while. I got to prove Diesel talking, and I'll get it started, or we'll get it started, and I'll sit there and hit that button a zillion times to get it to open, and it won't open. And the other one time, I said it didn't open on my phone, so I said, okay, let me pull my tablet up. So I tried my tablet, didn't work. Tried a second tablet, it didn't work. Went back to my phone. I was getting ready to give up, and just out of the blue, finally, the third time it opened up. And Diesel's was just getting ready to just quit it altogether. And at least for that night, when luck so have it, after the third time, it finally worked. It's just not run correctly, the technology that they're using.
Well, I'll say this, to be fair. I've been dealing with, like, every time I tried to join Spaces, even prior to Musk's involvement, it's been horrible. Like, my phone will, like, disconnect me from it randomly. It won't let me, like, I'll raise my hand and then it'll just kick me out, just to, like, it not like being kicked from like a moderating perspective, but just being kicked. Like, I don't do Spaces anymore because it was so finicky. And this is, again, predating Elon Musk. My hope, again, and this is, like I said, I play devil's advocate here. There's some things that I don't think add up or don't seem like they're very logical, like limiting how many DMs you can send in a day. But that's a bit of an odd decision. But I mean, I don't have it. Like I said, the part of it is, I would agree with you on that. Is that if you're going to put it out, don't make it glitchy because we don't pay for the Twitter Blue. If you want to make it to where it's like, hey, listen, you know, if you want to have access to Spaces or to be able to actually use, like, be a part of a space, you have to have a blue check mark. Then okay, go about that. But to actually have it available to everybody and you know, have it work incorrectly, I think I agree with you. I think that doesn't bode very well.
Right. And it just it's only for cell phone users. Can communicate. Somebody with a PC can listen, but they can't talk.
Right.
Yeah, I know, and I do most of my work from a PC.
That's what I would prefer. Like, I feel like
man, I would. Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, that's just mishandled. It's again, I think it's lazy technology. It's somebody had an idea, they popped it open, and they're too lazy to.
But regardless of all of that, go and follow Panther Pickle on Twitter at C3 Panther Pickle. And my man Don D's Ill Skills, the brand ambassador, they've been doing an incredible job on Twitter. Every time y'all do a space that I see, y'all have more and more people every time I see you. Imagine what it's going to be during the season, man. Dude, people are going to.
At one point, Thursday,
fill
we had
those
14
spaces.
people in there.
Nice, man. Y'all go follow Pickle. Y'all go follow Diesel Skills. We appreciate these boys. They're doing a fantastic job. My ice up tonight, very short, sweet, and to the point. You know, CK, you're the father of a brand new bouncing baby. And you know, when you have a child, especially a daughter, you know, your parental instincts they kick in, man. You're doing everything to protect your child from any type of danger that may be around them. That is your job as a parent. Keep this child alive and breathing, right? Well, some people just have a better ability to do that than others. And those others probably shouldn't be parents. So I introduce you to this level of stupid.
Oh no!
I promise you, nothing terrible happens.
Oh, thank you, because I don't want to see something terrible happen.
No,
Awesome.
no, nothing terrible happens. But look how dumb. A beautiful little baby, no car seat, cute little girl.
Instantly dead in a wreck. Yep.
Yeah, look, I mean, if
This is
something
clearly another
happened,
country.
Yes, this is
yeah.
this is
No,
an
it's in Australia,
Yeah.
okay.
dude. That is bananas to me, man.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that
I
little
agree.
girl's life at risk, bro. That is the dumbest thing in the world, man. To these women, ice up, son.
Hell yeah.
How dumb do you have to be, man?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, gentlemen, we did it, man. That is another Tuesday night in the books, man. Happy to have been here with y'all boys, man. This is the C3 Panthers Podcast, the longest running, literally and figuratively, Panthers pod on the internet. We appreciate each and every single one of y'all for joining us. You can find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC, and every Friday at 7 p.m. for the Friday Free for All, where you can be a part of the show just as we are now. Join the show, be in the StreamYard. Tell us what you believe about the Carolina Panthers. Pickle, your first time on a Tuesday, man. I appreciate you for filling in for Tony, man. You were awesome tonight.
Anytime.
Yeah, man. Tell them where they can find you. And yeah, thanks for being on the show tonight, brother.
Yeah. You can find me at on Twitter at Panther Pickle. That's or any of these shows here on C3. That's the almost. I go to a few other different social media posts, but I do Twitter multiple times a day. I'm probably on Twitter way too much, but it is what it is. So just at Panther Pickle and hit me up.
Hit him up, Pickle. Appreciate you, bro. Next up is the voice that makes him moist, Cody Allen. Appreciate you once again, brother.
Obviously, I'm here, and here's the thing: Pickle's gonna have to next time we offer him a spot on the show on a Tuesday night. If one of us is out, he's gonna have to rethink this. He's used to getting out of here like 10 o'clock. He's
right.
He's out of he's gone by 10 in the chat. He's like, all right, peace out, everybody. Tonight, he's like, I'm gonna have a horrible day tomorrow. I'm gonna have But no, I appreciate that. I certainly appreciate Pickle coming in and filling in some big shoes here tonight. But I do want to thank everybody in the chat for showing up. And man, just a few more days, and we'll have some legit Panthers, Panthers content and plays and things like that to actually discuss. And so we're almost there, guys. And it's going to go by in a flash, not just the time here, but by the end of the season. So take every moment, every play. Watch it, watch every commercial, buy whatever they're selling, whatever you want to do. Certainly buy Caldera Labs. They're a great product. Use code C3. And yeah, just enjoy yourselves, man. And we'll be live. I'm assuming we're gonna try to do some sort of a post game after the show on after the game on Saturday, but I guess we'll have to talk that over with the boys.
Hey, I'm down, man. I'm down for this Panthers content. Get down. You already know. My brother Greg, it was incredibly fun, man. Happy you were able to join us again, dude. And tell them where they can find you and what you got going on.
Yeah, man. I mean, I normally run a show on Fridays called Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. We've been taking a break for the last couple of weeks. We've had a child born into the family, some people moving, a lot of stuff going on, and we kind of feel like doing the teacher thing and just taking 3 months off, you know. So we're so, I mean, we're going to start back up probably September, I would imagine. My daughter gets her license then. It'll be a lot easier for me. But check us out. We cover all kinds of stuff from Marvel to DC to Star Wars to Star Trek to independent IDW, Image Comics. We have independent creators come on. I have guest slots in the show where we have all kinds of cool people. It's really fun to shut time. It's honestly, it's kind of based on this show right here. It's just us talking and having a good time. So we talk about things we love. I know y'all have all been on it before, and Pickle, I know you're a big part of the chat whenever we do have it. We're going to talk about some Star Trek pretty soon because Strange New Worlds and Lower Deck comes out pretty soon. But we're going to get back on in about a month, probably September sometime when school starts back up. And beyond that, check me out at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter, even though I check Twitter like once every week. I'm not going to lie. I've got more followers in like the last 2 or 3 weeks not being on Twitter or saying anything than I have the entire time that I'm on Twitter doing stuff. Like, I'll go on and check. I'll be like, hey, let me check it out. And I have like 96 missed messages and like 13 new followers. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not even saying anything. Like, what is going on?
Dude, I think they're planting them in there to try to get you to come back.
Maybe.
They want you back on the platform. You're like, oh, look at these new followers there, Greg.
That's crazy.
But Twitter is not good for your mental health. Yeah, but
I'm not gonna lie, man. I got said bye to Facebook a long time ago, and I really haven't been part of any social media until Twitter, which is where I met, just about everybody I podcast with. I don't miss it at all. I really don't. And there are a lot less things I have to worry about not looking at people's comments on Twitter. And I find myself, like, when I go to check, just, because I got to check the chat and see if y'all said anything important. And I find myself for just a moment, like, looking at some tweets. And I'm like, nope, stop, because I want to comment. And I'm like, no, you don't even need to. Just put this down and walk away from this for the rest of your life. You don't have to,
The real practice of Twitter mastery is learning how to just browse. And even when you see something dumb that pisses you off, that normally you want to respond to, just be like, not today. I am not into it. I'm just scrolling on my timeline, bro. That is all I'm doing. That's when Twitter's at its best. But no, I'm not gonna lie. When Panther football comes around, I love me some Twitter, man. I love being on there. I love talking my shit, seeing what people are saying. And hey, I mean, you all see when I put the presentation up, I find all of my news clippets and stuff from Twitter, or X as it is now called, which is I still don't love that one, but I know, right? My bad.
Everybody calls it meta now, right?
Right.
That group that I've got added to about college NCAA, y'all can take a chill on that at least for a couple hours of a night. These y'all on it all night long, JJ. Take a chill.
Twitter. Pickle, you gotta go and mute the conversation so it's not giving you updates. By the way, and I just want everybody to know, because so many people have been asking and demanding, me and the boys. I'll just say there is a college football pod in the works right now, because there's so many people arguing back and forth. We feel the need to have more of a discussion. That'll be fun and infuriating at the same time. So be on the lookout for that, man. Look, Kevin's in the chat. Yeah, we go ham. He knows. He knows. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been another edition of the C3 Panthers podcast. My name is Cody Lashley. I will be back this Friday at 7 p.m. for another edition of the Friday Free For All. I'm sure Pickle will be there too. You might even see a random Greg and CK pop up. You never know. We'll be back on Friday at 7 p.m. Until next time, Panther Nation, as we await the Jets together, keep pounding.